Broadcasting from the heart of the Colorado Rockies, it's 4th and 99 with your hosts, David Slade, Keith Brookman, and Matt Staffiero. Now let's talk football here on 4th and 99.
Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of 4th and 99 here at the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We have a great show planned for you tonight. We'll be recapping the 2021 season, talking ownership, and the head coaching search, along with other things. I'm your host, David Slade, and with me, as usual, is Keith Brugman and Matt Staffiero. And tonight, we're also joined by Gregory Doudna of RMSN and the In the Crease show. How's everybody doing tonight? Well, that's a mouthful.
Woo. Yeah, you made it through.
Barely.
I'm not gonna lie. I think we all enjoyed seeing a little bit of dance moves at the beginning too. I don't know if you guys caught it, but Dave was jamming to the intro beat there.
Oh, was I?
Oh yeah, you had the head bob would go. You almost had the shoulder shrug.
Oh man.
Some dance moves on.
I guess.
Hey, he's just happy Vic Fangio's not in the building anymore.
That's right.
I saw
the Vic is gone.
I drove by there. I saw Vic outside, man. He said he was waiting for George.
What? We'll work for meatballs. Pretty soon he'll be holding the sign, "We'll work for meatballs." You know, so he's got a famous meatball recipe.
He said he was waiting for George, and he had a lead pipe in his hand. I don't know what was going on. So.
I mean, they call him the Godfather for a reason, right?
There you go.
Right. That's right. So don't mess with Vic, man. So. Oh, I decided to get rid of the beard. I kept it only for the Kansas City game because I was going to the Kansas City game and I didn't want to sit out there at this bare, pretty face. So I put a little bit of hair on there to protect me from. It wasn't a lot. I mean, maybe a quarter of an inch. So
every little bit counts, man.
Yeah,
I think we can all attest to that.
And then Monday it came off. So.
Even Jody's noticing the beard is gone.
So how you guys doing? I mean, I'm sure everybody's happy with the news that broke on Sunday at 8:23 a.m. So
I was sleeping.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it that early. I mean,
that's why I stayed. That's why I slept.
Yeah, I mean, I was expecting it to be an afternoon thing, according to Mr. Albright, all-knowing Albright, said it was going to be an afternoon decision. So I guess he got one over on us. So Keith, how's the weather up there in Montana? It's warmed up any?
Oh, it was so wonderful today. We got like probably mid-30s, upper 30s. Lows were in like the, maybe mid-20s at worst. It was a fantastic day compared to where we've been at. It's funny though. You speak about, obviously, Vic being let go. My biggest thing when we finished up our last show, I was like, geez, what will we have to actually talk about on Wednesday? Will if Vic isn't letting go, what will we have to talk about on our Wednesday show? Well, we have tons to talk about on Wednesday's show all of a sudden, as lots of things have come to fruition all of a sudden.
I think if Vic wasn't let go, we would have spent a lot of time tonight talking each other off the ledge, talking fans off the ledge, saying, hey, guys, it's going to be all right. So
it's a full-time counseling session for everybody out there.
I probably would have had to pull out I think I would have had to pull out the Lock Flogger hour-long special I've been, keeping for the day that Lock's gone. Might have to break it out early. Wow. I'm just kidding.
Man, he can. And Greg, how you been?
I've been good, man. I've been good. As you brought up, I'm normally the Avalanche guy for Rocky Mountain Sports Network, and they're kicking butt. So I've been a happy man. But, the Bronco fan in me has been doing better. I will say, though, that with the news that Vic is gone and hopefully having Shermer follow him out the door here soon, man, I cannot be happier. I am looking forward to the future.
Yeah, and Jody here says that I think people need to get ready for Kirk Cousins at QB in 2022, and I think some of us here on this panel can get behind that. So,
absolutely.
So,
all right.
Yeah, the Avs have been playing great. I mean, Now, all the NHL teams are not going to the Olympics now, correct, Greg?
Correct. So for any NHL players who still want to participate in the Olympics, they either have to temporarily retire or be placed on waivers by their current team. So it's still very much up in the air in order to be able to do that. But yeah, there's some loopholes there. But yeah, anyone who's staying on the teams are not allowed to head to the Olympics this February.
So now are they going to continue playing? I know they already had this break built in. So are they just going to keep that break, or have they rescheduled games and stuff?
Nothing has been announced yet as far as rescheduling, but it is a 3-week break, and they have 93 games to make up. So I'm sure that they are definitely looking at how they're going to figure all that out for that break that was going to be in there for the Olympics.
Yeah, and he says Kemper gives up too many goals. But when you're scoring the way the Avs are, I guess
it balances out.
as long as he's giving up one less than what the opponent's goalie's giving up, we're all good. So,
exactly right.
So,
it was like the Chiefs over the last couple of years, not this year, but last couple of years. You know, they were putting up 45 points. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you know, as long they can still put up 38.
Yeah. Exactly. And Matt, how you doing? I mean, I'm wondering if you have all your hair. Because just to let everybody know, since Vic Fangio has been fired, Matt has been on nothing but a stress trip about Quinn getting named as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. So I'm wondering if Matt's ripped out all of his hair yet. He still has the beard.
I got the beard, I'm still growing that out for the day Locke is the long-term starting quarterback. I had to trim it up last time. I mean, if you guys remember last year, I was looking like Mufasa over here with my lion's mane. But hey, we'll see.
That contract extension, man, it's just all out all at once.
You know, it's funny, Dave, you were talking about you're shaving your beard. I was thinking the other day, should I wait to shave my beard until the Broncos make the playoffs?
Do it. I'm with you. I'll hop on that trend.
I started on that trip, and I just had to give it up. I couldn't deal with it anymore. I wear a CPAP when I sleep. I couldn't get the dang thing to seal or anything. I'm like, I got to get rid of this thing. So
back in the day, if anybody's a NASCAR guy, Kyle Petty, he had really long hair. His idea was he wasn't going to cut his hair until he got a win, and eventually he just had to cut his hair.
Oh, poor Petty.
So
wouldn't fit under the helmet anymore.
All right, like I mentioned during the intro, we got a lot to talk about, everybody. But before we get started, let's go ahead and thank our sponsor, Willow Seasonings and Blends. Head over to their website, check them out. They got a seasoning for everything you need, from beef to chicken to pork to fish, everything you need. So I just made salmon the other night, and I put some of the feisty lime on it. It was delicious. So check them out at willowseasonings.com. I'll put a little spice into your life.
Bam. There we go.
All right.
I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm hungry. So
yeah, I made some Norwegian salmon, and I put that feisty lime on it and threw it in the oven for about 15 minutes on 450. Oh man, it was delicious. So
all right, well,
even my granddaughter loved it.
I'm gonna go make some dinner. So
all right, we better start talking football before we all start just dreaming about what we're thinking about eating.
Good thing I ate some spaghetti before we came in here. Vic came over and he made me some spaghetti and meatballs.
Well, he's got to find a second job somewhere. But definitely here, Jody brings up another great point. There was a graphic that was floating around Twitter the last couple of days. I'm sure you guys seen it. It was the playoff droughts. And their New York Jets was 2010, Broncos 2015. As we all know, it's one of the worst rebounds from a Super Bowl victory. And I'm pretty sure we're going to talk more about that as we go along throughout this offseason. But Step one started last week, last Sunday. So,
and this question comes from Ryan Atkinson over on YouTube. What is everyone's thoughts on Elway and Manning being in separate ownership groups? We're going to talk about ownership here in a little bit, but that is a very interesting question. So, we'll talk about it here very shortly. So,
beautiful.
All right,
beautiful.
2021 season wasn't what we wanted it to be. We thought it was going to be, but then Teddy fooled us all. So if Matt can flog Locke, then I can flog Teddy.
I'm gonna flog him with you right there. I mean, we say it all the time. Stats that don't equate wins; they're just empty victories.
That is right. So I mean, Matt used to always tout to us about Teddy and being about 15 in stats, but they weren't equating the wins. So like Matt said, stats are only stats and wins are wins. So you can have the best stats in the world if you can't win a football game. It doesn't matter. So all right, Keith, I'm going to start with you. Let's talk about your MVPs. We'll talk about your offensive MVP, defensive MVP, and then who your most improved player of the season was. So you can go ahead and kick it off there, Mr. Brugman.
All right, let me kick the video first. Remember, we got all these cool videos.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Matt. Come on.
Yeah,
man.
All right.
Act like a producer for once.
The award music is coming. All right, Keith Brugman's MVPs. Here you go, guys. Boom.
All right. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
Offensive MVP, Javonte Williams. For me, if a guy comes in like he did, ends up completely displacing in our minds and in the minds of I think most fans, the number one QB1 position, making Melvin Gordon completely available on the free market for most people's mind, right? Goes in, has angry runs, has one of the best motors out there, and you see it week in, week out. Just continues to chug the ball, and does it with like minimal fumbles or turnovers as well. So easy one for me was Javonte Williams. I just think he stood out this year. For me, number two, defensive MVP, Justin Simmons, right? I was really surprised that this guy did not get any type of Pro Bowl selection whatsoever. I mean, there was a lot of Broncos that maybe could have gotten that, but for me, Justin Simmons was that guy. I'll be 100% honest. I wasn't the guy who thought I wasn't sure if he should get the big contract when he did. I was a little up in the air on it. Yeah, I know. Was he that guy? I was like, is he really that top guy? Is he performing? Will he continue to perform at that level? Well, guy who went out and he's proved me wrong, and he's become a fantastic leader on this defense, has played lights out. There's been very few plays that you could turn and look at him and say, shame on you, Justin Simmons, throughout this entire year. So, and then most improved player for me is Lloyd Cushenberry III. Man, you could really tell a difference in this guy and when he was out and when he was in. You could tell a difference with those guards playing alongside of him. He is the number 2 quarterback on the field when the offense is out there, because that guy is running that offensive line and those protection schemes quite well. So hats off. It's tough to land a good center, and I think we got a good one. We've got him young, and we could have him for many years. So those are my top 3.
All righty.
All right. That's a good top 3.
Yeah. I thought,
hard to argue with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, good. I bring it on, though. I mean, I'll take an argument.
Well, the only thing I'll say about Justin Simmons is at the beginning of the season, he did start a little bit slow, and everybody was like, uh-oh, what's going on? The guy got paid. And now, but, I mean, once he had that one game, then he just really turned it on, in my opinion. And, yeah, great player. So,
yeah.
I'll actually agree with Keith there. I was also in the same boat, not knowing that he deserved that massive contract, because it was kind of one of those things that was like, yeah, is this just a contract year kind of season? Is this just one of those that he knows he needs to get paid, so he's going to show out? But otherwise, is he going to put in the work, once he has the money? And yeah, no, I gotta admit, I was pretty impressed with him this season.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence, and not the shame finger that Matt gave me when I said.
All right, no, the reason why I was giving you the shame finger is because I think all of us at some point were pretty aware that Von Miller was likely going to be on his way out. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that Justin Simmons brings to that locker room is that veteran leadership, and he's kind of what keeps them balanced. He's the guy that everybody goes to, and I think he does that. It translates on field success sometimes, sure, but I have a feeling their defense, especially our secondary, would be a lot more out of place. Those linebackers really were counting on him to guide them, so that's why I think he was worth the money since day one.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree now. I see it now.
Oh yeah,
right,
yeah, absolutely.
So, and really quick before we move on, Jody Moncrief, offensive MVP, Melvin Gordon, defensive MVP, Justin Simmons, most improved is Draymond Jones. So those are good ones as well. So
yeah. Anybody else have anybody? Throw it in.
Yeah, definitely throw it in. Everybody throw in who your MVPs are and your most improved for this season.
Who's up next, Matt?
No, it's Dave actually.
Okay,
Dave, you ready?
I'm ready,
Dave? You ready? All right,
you're ready, Matt.
Here we go, Dave. 3, 2, 1, go.
No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle. No one ever sees me, I'm losing every battle.
Whoa.
All right. Well, just like Keith, I went with Javonte Williams. You know, if it wasn't for the fumbles from Gordon at key moments in games, I may have gone with Gordon because Gordon had a pretty good season as well. But I just like Javonte Williams. I like his running style. One thing I did notice, so towards the end of the season, he's going to have to get a little stronger, work on his conditioning because towards the end of the season, he wasn't running over people the way he was, you know. I mean, he was going down a lot easier after contact, but I still think he is the guy that really sparked that offense at times. So Drew didn't play enough for me to give him the MVP. I probably could have, but Matt probably wouldn't have made the video then.
Threw the computer in the trash.
And then, you know, on defense, I mean, it was a tough one for me to decide between Justin Simmons and Pat Surtain. But Surtain, as a rookie, was put into a lot of tough situations. And you know what? You don't hear announcers call his name a lot. And if you're a cornerback and they're not calling your name, that means you're doing a heck of a job because they're not throwing at you. So, so I think he had one of the lowest targets against rates of all cornerbacks in the NFL. And as a rookie, he's ranked as one of the top corners in the NFL. So I think this guy might be a defensive MVP for many years to come. And then, of course, most improved, definitely Lloyd Cushenberry III. I mean, he just made a huge leap from year one to year two, really grasped and started understanding, making the calls on the offensive line, setting protections and things like that. It's a tough job for a center. So a lot of people were so down on him, but that's a hard job, you know, coming from college into the NFL, you know, learning a whole new language, terminology and everything else. And you got to go out there and, you know, run the offensive line. But I think he did a great job. And like Keith said, when he was out that game, you definitely noticed it. You noticed a huge difference in the offensive line in protections and everything else. So I just look forward to watching him grow as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to come at you because I think it's a bold move going with both rookies. You went with pick 1 and pick 2 of George Payton. So, yeah, it's exciting. So either that means he's done really well and we're going to have 2 solid candidates for MVP for many years to come, or it's going to be, I don't know. Hopefully that's the way it's trending.
Let's not think about it going any other way, Matt. Let's be positive here.
Matt's already throwing out ideas like sophomore seasons, slumps, letdowns, you know. Remember Bobby Humphries, how he had one good season or two with the Broncos and then he went nowhere, you know. No, let's not go down that path. I think
I think Vic Fangio's over at Matt's house. Either that or Drew Lock's over there trying to challenge him to a fight.
I'll take him. Let's go, Drew. Tell me where you at. Flagpole, 3 o'clock. I got you, bro.
But I read his lips, and and Matt was saying, "Wait, I want your autograph. Just wait till the end of the show."
Right. And I'm sorry, I burned up your jersey in my dryer.
Here. I got the shriveled up 3 still. Can you sign this? But No. Anyways, moving on. I guess it's time for my big break and my big breakdown here of my MVP. So here comes the video.
All right.
All righty. Well, there's my big three. So I went the opposite. I took the other running back. I knew I liked Jody. From the start, I thought this is a very smart fan here. We're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength. But Locke, Gordon, it's just perfect. I think I found my new best friend. I'm taking applications, by the way. Anyways.
Yeah, you probably need to.
Melvin Gordon, the reason why I decided to give him the slight edge over Javonte Williams is because there were several games where we seen Melvin Gordon take the game in his own hands and in the game multiple times this season. The big 7-yard run at the beginning of the season. There was that too. We'll give him that. But also Alberto completely whiffed on that final block in that game. So he was essentially had somebody.
I agree. I won't blame that on Melvin.
Yeah, that was terrible. But
he was hit by Ingram before the ball was even fully in his, possession.
And I don't even blame Albert O for that alone. I want to blame Pat Shurmur for that too, because essentially they ran two similar plays, and Melvin Gordon was in the backfield on the first play. Gordon made a wonderful play to make it miss, and then he's like, "All right, let's just try it again. Let's get my running back killed." And well, that's why Pat Shurmur's likely not going to be an offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos again. So,
heard Dan Quinn's high on him.
Oh, shush, Dave! Don't get my stress even higher.
He can't even get through his MVPs, man. Leave him alone.
I'm sorry. All right, I'll let you finish, Matt.
All right, going to defense, I decided to go with Draymond Jones because we seen him struggle at the beginning of the season, and I was debating if I wanted to put him as my most improved, but I just couldn't give that away from Lloyd Cushenberry. But what we've seen is towards the end of the season, after Vaughn left, we've seen him step into a role where he was being a dominant player. We always talk about who's going to step up and be in this role, who's going to be the dominant guy that's getting pressure. We all hope it's Bradley Chubb, but at the end of the day, it was Draymond Jones who was making plays. There was a game where he took complete control. He had three plays resulting in negative yardage, back to back, and a SWAT. So it was just beautiful. Ever since that game, he just has been on top of it. He's came back through injuries, and he was still being dominant. And then, of course, Lloyd Cushenberry is the most improved for a lot of the reasons you guys were saying. But not only seeing his growth from this year to last year, we've seen him go through multiple difficult situations. We've seen him lose Graham Glasgow, a guy who you would rely on. We've seen Dalton Reisner miss games, and he's in there coaching up Quinn Miners and Netani Moody and still having great success. He still has a lot of room that he needs to grow. He's got to get stronger. But from where he came from last year as a rookie, the growth is astronomical in my opinion. So that's my big three, and that's my MVPs. That wraps up our MVPs, I guess. Oh wait, I lied. Greg,
come on.
Sorry, Greg, you don't get to talk. Sorry, man.
Greg, you're just here. You're here to be the eye candy.
Today, you're here to look pretty, Greg.
Big screen for Greg. What do you got, Greg?
I like it. I got to say, my picks are a lot of the similar ones. I'm actually going to go first with most improved. I think it was Drew Lock. I'm joking, totally joking. I was hoping to get a reaction out of Matt, but it didn't work there. Although I will say 2 starts and no interceptions, massive improvement.
Yeah,
but no, definitely got to go with Lloyd Cushenberry there as well. The kid was kind of a negative on the O-line last year. He was very much a risk being in there when he was. And so to see him go from someone that while he was playing, it was almost always a negative feeling as a fan going, great, here comes another, rush right up the middle that he's not going to have any chance of stopping, to actually becoming a pretty dominant O-line. Good on him. I was very impressed seeing the way that he was able to turn that around from what he was last season. Same as everybody else. Just want to get that out of the way first. Offensive MVP. I wish I could say Brandon McManus, although that wouldn't really count.
That's an acceptable answer.
Perfect. Yep. I'm saying Brandon McManus. If nothing else, for the fact that I have wanted to yell at Vic so many times. So it kind of, made me a little jealous getting to see him do it on the sideline a couple times. And, especially having his own teammates kind of come out and say, hey, why not let him go for the record? Like the amount of times that he stood there just like, no, I'm going to kick this 65-yarder and you're not going to stop me. And unfortunately would still get stopped. But, I love the attitude coming from him. He's been arguably one of the best kickers in the entire league since he has been with us. Everyone talks about Justin Tucker, but I guarantee you give McManus the chance and he's hitting a new record. He's been so consistent. It did fall off a little bit this season. I will say typically he's not missing those long 50+ yarders. But still, even then, I'm pretty sure he had, better than 50% on his 50+ yarders. So, can't say enough about the guy. And I hope we keep him around for long enough that if whoever gets put in there in Vic's place, he's allowed to yell at them too. So it's like the attitude there.
And really quick, I want to say hello to Frank. Frank is with Stoke the Fire Barbecue. So if you guys are up in Northern Colorado area, check him out.
Heck yeah. And then on defense, I've actually got to go with Justin Simmons as well. In a lot of the same way that Keith felt, I was not that sold on him. I absolutely would say he was a great player. The last couple of years, he definitely was not horrible. It's not like he was on the opposite end of the spectrum, but I didn't think he was superstar level. I didn't think he was, the biggest contract on the defensive side of the ball level. And so when he got the contract, I was a little skeptical, and he completely proved me wrong. And coming from safety position, making the second most tackles on the team this year, having the most interceptions, and he played exactly the way he needed to prove that the contract was necessary, and that he's going to be that defensive stud that we need for years and years to come.
Solid.
Yeah. All right. Before we move on to the 2021 review, and thanks, Jody, for doing this. I want to get everyone else's opinions. Jody's biggest letdowns for the season: Dalton Reisner and Noah Fant. So I'm gonna start with you, Matt. Just who are your maybe one on offense, one on defense, maybe?
My biggest one on offense is probably going to have to be. I mean, I have reasons that I think he should be better, but it's going to be Jerry Jeudy. I mean, 0 touchdowns says it all. I get it. It was an injury. I'm going to take that back. Can I say a wide receiver group as a whole outside of Tim Patrick?
Yeah, I feel that, man.
Sure, yeah.
I'll accept that.
Because, I mean, Cortland Sutton, granted, he did get the big extension. But, I mean, he comes down and he didn't put up – we didn't see what a number one receiver that we had hoped would produce. We didn't really see that. Tim Patrick, who's been kind of the underdog the entire time, has been the receiver that's constantly kind of shined for 2 consecutive seasons now. But Jerry Jeudy, if I had to highlight one, that's the biggest one. Defensively, it's hard for me to find one, but if I had to go after one, it would probably be just Ronald Darby, and because I want to say Kyle Fuller, but he's not going to be here next year. So I'm going to go with Ronald Darby. Say him. Yeah, but I'm going to go with Ronald. We're talking
about this year, not next year.
I know, but I'm going to go with Ronald Darby because leading into next year, one of the biggest concerns when he got this big contract was his health, and we've seen his health be a constant issue this season. So I'm going to go with Ronald Darby on defense.
Okay. Keith, same question to you.
Man, for me, I'm going to have to agree with Jody on part of it. I'm going to have to go with Reisner. On offense, I really expected him to take that second step, and continue to grow. But honestly, I didn't see that. I think he's kind of taking a step backwards. So for me, I really need Dalton and Reisner to kind of step up, and I don't think he's there. And on the defensive side, I'll stay on the line as well. I'll go with Mike Purcell. So I think he needs to. He got a contract. I expected a little bit more from him. Draymond Jones certainly outshined on that line over Mike Purcell. It seemed like I never heard that guy's name called all year long. So Purcell as well.
Ton of injuries for Purcell too.
And Greg?
Yeah. Offensive side of the ball, I'm actually going to have to go with a guy I was really, really high on for a chunk of the season and definitely before the season, Teddy Bridgewater. Man, he took his strengths and turned them into negatives. We talked about how good the conservative side of his game was, in that he's not going to throw a lot of interceptions. He's not going to, risk the ball in a lot of ways. And he ended up just being way too conservative. He ended up getting hit so many times because he wasn't willing to either get rid of the ball or throw it into a little bit of coverage. As it's always said in the NFL, when someone is open by 6 inches, they're open by a mile. He was never willing to risk those throws. And, you ended up seeing it just completely backfire on him, to where, the things that just absolutely sold him before the year started ended up being his biggest downfall. So, and again, he was someone that I was really high on, especially through the first couple of games. And, granted, our 3-0 start, we all know that was kind of supposed to happen. But hey, in a lot of ways, give it to the Broncos for not pulling the Broncos and losing to one of those teams.
Right. You still have to go out there and execute and beat them. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, definitely Bridgewater. Just that, and especially because of how high I was on him, that had to be my biggest letdown, just because of going from such a high to such a low so quickly. On the defensive side of the ball, I would have to say Kyle Fuller. I'd have to take the one that Matt was gonna go with. But yeah, it just, every big pass, it was on him. When things really started to tilt downwards, the Vegas game early in the season, like, my God, every big pass, it was him blowing a coverage. It was him not sticking with a man, or him, falling into the right slot. It just, he was constantly the reason for the defense looking as bad as it did at times. And that's what really, kind of seals it for me, is that, we were all so sold on this defense being this juggernaut because of having Fangio at coach and having the players it did. And when there was a hole and a weakness, and suddenly we're going, now we got to question the defense. 9 times out of 10, it was Kyle Fuller that was the reason for us questioning it.
Right.
So,
yeah. So. Several big plays. Hollywood Brown.
So,
exactly.
I'm going to ask you guys all a trivia question really quick. Hopefully you guys aren't looking at any stats right now. Who's the leading receiver on this team reception-wise?
Noah Fant.
I believe you're right. I'll second that.
Mm-hmm. I was going to go third with it, but just to be different, I'll go Cortland Sutton.
No, Noah Fant. Noah Fant with 68 receptions.
Yeah, it's all those 2-yard dink and dunks from Teddy.
Yeah. Right. So
exactly right.
Yeah, because he had 10 more catches than Sutton.
Yeah.
And he had 116 less yards. So definitely a lot of dink and dunks. So I'm gonna go with mine really quick. My disappointment on the offense is Jerry Jeudy. It's just hands down. This guy's a first-round draft pick. He's just making zero impact on this team. I've said this before. I've been at the games at the stadium, and I sort of watch him, and he just mopes around like he doesn't want to be here. Hopefully with the new, if he's here next year, not a part of some trade package to land a vet QB or something. Hopefully with the new coaching staff, he can rejuvenate himself, because right now you could tell he's not having fun. I think last year, he went out and he jumped on the Odell Beckham Jr. bandwagon about getting all over Shermer, and Shermer maybe sort of limited his calls a little bit. So on defense, I'm going to have to go with the same person that Jody said, and that's Bradley Chubb. I mean, now next year we'll be able to find out. Bradley Chubb should be fully healthy next year. Came down the stretch healthy. Should be fully healthy. We'll find out next year. For the last 3 years, has Vic Fangio been misusing this guy? So maybe Chubb comes out next year and has a breakout season with a new coaching staff, a new defensive coordinator, and a new defensive philosophy. Yeah. Gotta hope, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's who I want to go with. But I beat up on Bradley Chubb just as bad as I beat up on Drew Lock.
Well, we know you do, and you're still bitter that they didn't take Josh Allen. So
but I'm not even holding. I don't hold that against Bradley Chubb. But no, just a second. That I don't think it's, when we come back and look at it, I don't know if it's going to be that he was ever misutilized. The big breakthrough is going to be, can he play 16 games? And if he plays 16 games, what's his impact then? But
somebody can be misutilized too, even though he was not super healthy this year. I mean, sometimes coaches just don't put their players in the best positions to succeed. So,
yeah,
we've all complained about it. There were no stunts on this defensive line. It was just everybody just run forward and see if you can get past your guy and get to the quarterback. So maybe with some stunting and other things, next year Chubb can elevate his game a little bit and do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah,
we definitely need him to.
And pinning with the coaches, like the one thing the one positive thing you've heard me say about Dan Quinn is he runs the 4-3 front, and that would benefit Bradley Chubb as he's kind of heavier for a traditional edge rusher. So maybe you're right. We'll see who. It all depends who the coach is.
All righty, Matt, 2021 season in review. You want to kick off some slides for us?
Yeah, so we'll start with the players, or we'll start with the team and then go to players.
Okay.
But, here we go. So this is where we were at. 2021 season, 211.4 passing yards per game, which was 19th overall. 119.1 rushing yards per game, which was 11th, 4.8 third down conversion per game, which was tied for 12th, and 19.7 points per game, 21st. And that's another tie. The big thing that stands out here is this is the second consecutive year, I believe, with us scoring less than 21 points per game on the season.
Right. You're not going to win a lot of football games like that. It really sort of is shocking to me that there's as many teams with worse passing games than the Broncos had.
Oh, yeah. A good fair share of them.
13 teams that are worse than the Broncos. That's sort of
pretty amazing.
Mind-boggling, isn't it?
So I guess so. As frustrated and as stagnant as this offense been, and all of our frustrations towards the Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and Pat Shurmur, I guess it could be worse, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's that could be a positive spin to put on it. I guess so.
That's about all I can do for right now. That's my glass half empty take on it. But it was disappointing overall, though.
So Keith, I'll ask you, going into 2022, out of these four stats, which one is the most important that you think we need to improve?
Believe it or not, I'll go with the third topic, which is 4.8 or 4.8 third down conversions per game. Third down conversions is where things get done, right? So for me, I need to see one way or another. I don't care if it's through the passing game, through the running game. If we're getting third down conversions, that's going to turn into points as well.
That's good. I can get behind that.
That's where quarterbacks earn their money, is on third down. And our quarterbacks didn't do that great. I mean, but heck, if we're tied for 12th.
This is a significant improvement from last year where we were ranked in the bottom third of the league. So as much as that is a concern, the one thing that I am hopeful that this will improve on is because of a coordinator change, because we're not, hopefully, with whomever this new coordinator is, we're not going to see the same predictability we've seen from he who shall not be named anymore in Denver. And his run and deep bomb to the middle of nowhere kind of game plan. So hopefully we don't, with the reduction of third and distance, we'll see this rate even get better pending who the quarterback. I mean, so many different factors, but I'm going to take a different spin on angle of points per game just because that's literally about, I think last time I checked, it was almost a 10-point difference between the third ranked AFC West opponent. So we got to get better at that.
Yeah. Greg?
Yeah, I got to agree with Matt. 19.7 is just, it's so bad. The league average dropped for the biggest drop that it has seen since the previous year, since I believe the 80s. It dropped from 24.8 down to 23 for the average points per game in the NFL. If the Broncos had just simply scored at the league average of 23, they would have gone 11-5-1. Wow. That is so sickeningly bad that we couldn't even get to the league average, which would have put us, into the play. We'd be talking playoffs right now had they just been able to score, 4 extra points, 3. It's so disheartening.
And I'm going to agree with Keith a little bit because a lot of these failed third down conversions came at crucial times,
Correct.
And it just really killed the whole flow of the offense, the flow of the game at times. So I think they need to get better there. Or they get better there, then we'll start to see more points on the games or on the board. But I mean, you got to improve the small areas before you're going to improve the final result, which is the points on the board. So, and then of course, I mean, you don't want to rank 19th in passing either. You want to maybe try to get top 15, maybe closer to top 10. So
I'm fine if we're 19th in passing, if we're second in rushing.
Well, yeah, if we're second, yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, if we were second. So, I mean, but 11th, and we just had that guy that Matt said we couldn't talk about, who just, he would just pull out the panic sheet at times, and the rushing game went out the window. So
yeah,
I like that you agree with me on third down conversions, because I wouldn't want to have death by inches or anything.
Oh, there it is. The Vic Fangio shots have been fired once more.
There you go.
All right. Speaking of Vic Fangio, we're switching over to his defense. 322 total points allowed, which was third overall. 3,652 passing yards allowed, which was eighth. 1,892 rushing yards allowed, 15th, and 19 turnovers, which is 12th. What's your thoughts on that?
Statistically, a very good defense, and you would think you were on a winning football team. But the big thing here for me is turnovers. 19 turnovers in 17 games is not what good defenses do. I mean, this defense at times couldn't get off the field, and we've seen it in the games multiple times with just these long drives where the other team just ran out the clock. Kansas City, perfect example, we kicked it to them with 4 or something left, 4:52, I think. Never saw the ball again. It happened in the Cincinnati game. It happened in the Raiders game. I mean, we just had times where we couldn't get off the field, and a good defense creates turnovers. And this defense really didn't create turnovers as frequently as they should.
No, I agree with you on that one. Go ahead, Keith.
Especially, I was going to agree as well, just because, how many times if you sat there and watched the games, you listen to the announcers, what they were saying is Denver does fantastic at getting pressure on the quarterback with their 4-man rush. Well, what that tells me is that there should be opportunities in the secondary. There should be opportunities to get interceptions. If you're getting there with a 4-man rush and you're getting pressure with a 4-man rush as well, there should be opportunities. So I can't disagree. Turnovers are a little bit more of a disappointment than what I would have expected.
Yeah, and I think going back to just kind of, it's not really a stat, but something that I know Dave and a couple of other guys have talked about. My biggest disappointment is just not being able to get us off the field on key moments of the game when there wasn't very many times where the offense was putting us in positions to win, but there was opportunities where they kept it alive long enough, and then the defense would give in. We've seen it most recently with the final game of the season with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, two of the 3 final games, Drew Lock had the team in position to win, and the defense couldn't get off the field to give the offense one more shot. So if you lose by less than a touchdown, and the defense can't get off the field, the defense has to take some of that blame too.
Yeah,
absolutely. Not a ton, but third overall allowed in points. So,
right.
Yeah. I really can't say much that hasn't already been said. They even brought up, Shelby Harris does a show every Tuesday on Altitude Radio with Nate Kreckman and Andy Lindahl, and even he was saying our turnovers, man, they're not good enough. For being as dominant of a defense as we claim to be and have shown in other areas, we've got to get the ball back for our offense. That's a given. So. Yeah, when your own players are calling out, that's one of your biggest issues. And it's probably one of your biggest issues.
So,
absolutely.
And it was referred to as the $70 million secondary.
Exactly.
So we paid, let me see. Go ahead and I'll get this math figured out here in a minute.
All right. Well, you're getting the math figured out. We're going to kind of switch gears a little bit and go towards our player stats.
Okay.
So we kind of highlighted these two guys, and we are in a little bit of a crunch, so we may kind of go through these a little bit fast so we can at least get some head coaching stuff in there. Okay. Javonte Williams, 918 rushing yards, 4.5 yard average, 213 receiving yards, 7.6 yards per reception, and 10 total touchdowns. Switching gears real quick, we'll just pair him with his counterpart. Melvin Gordon, 903 rushing yards, 4.4 yard average, 216 receiving yards, 7.3 yards per reception, and 7 total touchdowns. So both are highly productive. We don't really see a running backs room where they have 2 running backs that are nearly at 1,000 yards each. So this was the livelihood of this offense, in my opinion. It was probably the only positive out of this offense outside of Lloyd Cushenberry, and that's how I feel, at least.
Yeah. So I do have to point this out. It's actually swapped.
That's what I thought when I was reading it, and that was probably my bad. I probably put the pictures on the wrong side.
You're good. Yeah, no worries. But the thing that blows me away that I do have to point out is the fact that while you had given Melvin Gordon the offensive MVP, this is kind of one of the things that I feel like really does speak volumes to Javonte Williams. He didn't really have those big, massive, he didn't have a 70-yard run, but he had 15 less yards and the exact amount of carries because they each had 203 carries. That is just absolutely insanely impressive for a rookie running in such a different way. Melvin Gordon was the big play, find a hole, hit it as hard as he could and pick up as many yards as he could. Whereas Javonte was, I'm going to run everybody over that's in my way. And to be able to come that close, only 15 yards difference in the same amount of carries, my God, that's impressive.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, that was really my only bright spot. Keith, I don't know if you have any other thing to add to the rushing attack we had this year, or you, Dave?
No, not really. I think it was good. There were games where I just think that guy we can't name really failed us, and we would have had easily 2,000-yard rushers on this team if that person hadn't abandoned the running game so quickly at times. So, and question here from Jody, and what do you guys think? Do you guys think Mike Boone could be a true number 2 next year?
Yes.
Keith?
Yeah, and I think he has a possibility of being our returner as well.
Greg?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially if we're going to be losing Melvin, if he doesn't get re-signed, we need the speed back, and that's exactly what Mike Boone is. The kid is so damn quick that he would fill in perfectly, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think so too. And the only way Melvin's going to stay is if Melvin takes a heck of a discount. Made $8 million a year. He's going to have to probably go down to 4, I would think, to stay here. So we'll see what happens. Running backs are like falling off trees, so you can find them almost anywhere. So why do you really need to pay somebody when you can just go get more guys on rookie contracts and keep just cycling them through?
It's funny though. He was a questionable MVP, offensive MVP for one of us. He was the MVP for another guy. And at the same time, we're saying, Mike Boone can just slip right in there. We don't have to.
Well, and I think it's really, I think the big driving factor behind that is money.
100%.
So
and ultimately the hope is that this offense is going to be changing to get the more dynamic wide receiver room involved as well, to where we're not going to have to depend on so many carries from 2 different backs. There's RBCs, but this was kind of like in more than an RBC. This was the entire offense.
So, yeah. Okay, so we sort of drug at it out a little bit. We're going to dive into, Matt, you want to talk about some ownership talk really quick, just to sort of give an update on where the Broncos are at right now? There's ownership problems over at Matt's house right now.
There you go.
Oh no, there is a dad all by himself today, and toddler is woken up angry.
All right. Well, let me chime in for Matt here real quick.
She heard Pat Shermer was here.
I'll step in for Matt real quick. This is judge rules against the Kaiser for right of first refusal. So that ruling came down. When was that, guys? Does anybody remember? Yesterday. Okay.
Yep.
Seems like all these things have been coming as a whirlwind, I guess.
Right.
So.
We're drinking from a fire hydrant right now.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know. I'm a little bit worried. I haven't checked my Twitter. So up to 6 groups intend to make a bid for the purchase. One group includes Peyton Manning, and a second group includes John Elway. Some was rumored to think that those two were maybe together. Those are actually 2 separate groups. Other groups may include Colorado billionaires Robert Smith and you guys, if you want to, Anschutz.
Philip Anschutz.
Philip Anschutz. Okay. As well as Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z have been rumored in the past. So you guys could probably get me more up to speed on Robert Smith and Mr. Philip Anschutz. But other than that, strong out of the gate, it seems like, already 6 different groups looking to join in on the Denver Broncos, despite them having the highest price tag ever for an NFL team.
Yeah. Now, Matt, have you heard timelines on the completion of sale?
It sounds like it wouldn't happen until they said they're not even going to address it too much until after a head coach is put in place. So if you factor in that timeline, 2 weeks, then you factor about, they might, let's say they name it a week after that. So I would say the earliest we could probably hear would be the middle of March that this was that it was trending in that direction, and it would probably be processed sometime by the middle of spring. So mid-April, probably.
Okay.
Right around draft time is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Before Joe Ellis leaves the building, so you can hand the guys the keys to the front door and say, here you go. And they can take them and throw them out the building. And so,
yeah, I think essentially it's going to be just to kind of get them to the draft. He may stay on for a little bit, extended into May. He said he'd be comfortable with staying on a little bit longer just to make sure everything went smooth. Right. So,
And Jody is saying that he's heard the founder of Dish TV, maybe on one of the buyers as well. And I heard that Jeff Bezos and Jay-Z may team up with the Peyton Manning group. So
yeah, and that's Charlie Ergen, and there's his kind of counterpart. His name's slipping my mind right now. They're both diehard Bronco fans. They both they're in Dish Network, and I can't remember the other company off the top of my head. Something Echo Star, I believe, and that was another potential owner group that was mentioned several months ago. I haven't heard anything right now.
So,
yeah, that's kind of the same I feel with the Robert Smith and Philip Anschutz. Is that at one point it was rumored, but last I've been reading, a lot of people are saying that's not really the case anymore. Which, I'll be honest, I would like to see Philip Anschutz. Just, I like having his name on our big hospital here, and stuff like that. It has a good ring to it, and
it'd be nice to just have a local person here to sort of calm everybody's nerves about.
Enough for me.
Are they gonna relocate this franchise someday? So which I mean, you have a heck of a battle on your hands trying to get the Broncos out of Denver. So
Montana has no NFL football teams,
and it's not going to be the Broncos, Keith.
You guys have Yellowstone though.
There you go.
Officially in Wyoming.
No, I'm talking about the TV show.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go. Oh,
so
boy.
All right, really quick. So as we've said, Vic Fangio has been let go. Head coaching search has started. We got some interviews. The first one's tomorrow, correct, Matt?
That is correct. Mr. Aaron Glenn, Detroit Lions defensive coordinator.
So he'll be in I don't know if it's a Zoom one or if he's going to be in the building tomorrow. We got him on.
Oh, they're flying out to the Midwest to go meet with. So essentially the way it's going to work is they're meeting with Aaron Glenn tomorrow. Then after that, they're going to meet with Nathaniel Hackett. And then after that, they'll meet with Luke Getsy. So Nathaniel Hackett, of course, everyone knows Packers.
Matt, did you twitch when you said his name?
Yeah, don't.
It looked like you were twitching when you said Getsy.
It's stress.
Now we got two things hold over, Matt. We got Getsy.
And Locke.
We got Locke. Heck, we could throw Dan Quinn in there too. All right. Let's run down this list. We got Jared Mayo, Patriots linebacker coach. this guy's an up and comer. I don't know if you guys all saw the video Matt put in the RMSR chat room on Jared Mayo. But if you get a chance, go watch this, because after I watched it, I just wanted to hire the guy. If I was the GM, I would have just hired him. So, but I mean, he's an impressive young man. I mean, Greg, Keith, either you got any thoughts on Jared Mayo?
I definitely am trending towards a positive. I did see the video as well, and I will also agree that it kind of was one of those, like, hire him on the spot, like, get that man in the building. The biggest thing for me is I didn't really see a whole lot out of the Patriots linebackers this year of just being absolutely stellar. They've been decent, but that's also kind of just the Patriots, man. They haven't really had a slump anywhere for 25 years. So right. It's kind of tough really taking anything from there. We all kind of saw with Josh McDaniels the idea of, oh, well, it's the Patriots, man. Clearly he's coming from this excellent organization, and it was just a train wreck. So that's my only issue. Other than that, I love the fact that he's young. He only has 3 years coaching experience. That's, to me, that's kind of an intriguing thing. He went from he was a fantastic player in his playing days, went from that straight into coaching, and seems like quite the guy. So it's definitely more of a positive for me. But just like I say, the issue of it coming from the Patriots being but everything looks good there is the only negative that I really have.
Right, Keith, any concerns with Jared Mayo, how young he is, making a leap from a linebacker coach all the way up to head coach?
And that's what I was going to say. I feel bad because I haven't seen the video. I didn't get caught up before we jumped on here, so I feel a little out of turn. Hopefully, I don't say anything where everyone's like, "No, you got to see the video." But that being said, my biggest thing is we saw it with Vic Fangio taking on everything that a head coach has to take on, all the responsibilities that actually entails. Can be a little bit much. You can be a great leader of men. You can be a fantastic position coach. You can be a fantastic coordinator, but taking on everything that an ownership, the head coach needs to take on, and all the different aspects, that can be a little bit overpowering for some people. And that would be my biggest concern, him coming not only from an age, but again, just having limited experience in the coaching realm.
Right. And Matt, you and I have talked, this interview may be for a different reason. So you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a ton of rumors floating around. It's hard to decipher what's really true, what's really not. But one that's kind of caught fire across multiple different kind of, the big guys out there, including Albright, who we mentioned earlier. His guys brought it up several times that Mayo is possibly Dan Quinn's preferred defensive coordinator, along with a preferred offensive coordinator who's also on this list, and Luke Getsy, which I have tons of reservations. That's probably my disaster scenario, I think it limits your options and what you can do offensively. I think it limits your options, what you can do at the quarterback position. And believe it or not, I think it's for the people who are really supporting Locke and really wanting to see this kid get another shot. I think it's the worst thing you could do for Drew Lock. So that's my quick spiel on it. There's a couple other names on here that we'll go through real quick.
Yeah, let's touch on them really quick because we are running.
Oh, we can keep going.
I don't have anywhere to go. My wife left, so
there you go. Yeah.
Same. So I think let's kind of just go through them. Let's go through the list, and then we can kind of talk about our dream scenarios and I already gave you my disaster scenario, but let's go through them real quick. So Nathaniel Hackett, Packers offensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, Cowboys defensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, Cowboys offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, surprisingly, Chiefs offensive coordinator.
Let me stop you right there really quick, Matt.
Go for it.
I just want to give a shout out to Kenny Kirkpatrick and Kurt Valente from K&K Sports, who both dropped by. So thanks for stopping in, guys. If you guys have not checked out K&K Sports, check them out. They have a great show. Thursday nights is really good if you're into gambling. They got their Wits and Wagers show. So check them out.
Absolutely.
All right, sorry about that, Matt.
No, you're good. Heading on down the list, continuing, Jonathan Gannon, Philadelphia Eagles defensive coordinator, Kevin O'Connell, Rams OC, Aaron Glenn, Lions defensive coordinator, who we mentioned has an interview this tomorrow, Luke Getsy, Packers quarterback coach, and to round out the 10 scheduled interviews, this 4 is Brian Callahan, Bengals offensive coordinator. So that rounds out the gigantic list of the wide net that's been casted.
Matt, and here's mine and yours worst fear right here.
Kurt, go to bed, Kurt.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Curtis, late back east, man. you have to get up early and go to work, man.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
Absolutely. So I don't know who wants to go first at their dream scenario. Who wants to go first?
Kurt's dream scenario for anybody not listening was Hackett or Getsy as OC with Rodgers. Let's freaking go, right? Is that what we're talking about? Not on board, man?
No. Send that away. Nathaniel Hackett. There was a post that I seen today on Twitter. That's one of the greatest things that I've seen in a while. I'll come off of Twitter. It related to Nathaniel Hackett and Luke Getsy benefiting from the success of Aaron Rodgers, similar to Adam Gase and Mike McCoy benefited from the success of having Peyton Manning. I think it negates it. It's a horrible move. Go ahead and let him go to Jacksonville if that's where they want him. Go ahead and take him. Go ahead and go get Blake Bortles and take him back to the AFC Championship. I'm not here in Denver. No, thank you. All right.
All right.
That's disaster scenario number 2.
Jody Moncrief's choice is Dan Quinn. And I'll start out. That's
all right.
Probably out of that big list, I'm going to say that's probably, and I've thought about this. I've gone back and forth. I've been hot. I've been cold. I'm on the Dan Quinn train again. I want an experienced guy that can come in here and manage a team. Now, Dan Quinn did very well in Atlanta when surrounded by good coordinators. Give him good coordinators and don't have a GM that puts you into salary cap purgatory where you can't get players, and that's why after the offense went down, after Shanahan left, they had no defense. They didn't have money to get guys either. So, and they're still paying for it. So, I like Dan Quinn. I mean, I think he's a good leader. I think he can motivate a team. You just got to get him the right coordinators. All right.
When will the Greg go? Because he always seems like he's getting last pick.
All right. We'll let Greg go.
Go, Greg, go.
That's fine. It gives me a chance to hear what you guys are saying and playing. Like, oh yeah, no, that's a really good point. No, you're good. I'm kind of torn, Dave. For the guys who don't know, for everyone watching who doesn't know, I am boring as hell when it comes to my football. I want a stellar run game. I want a good defense. I could care less about a passing game. However, I do understand its importance. Clearly, we have seen, you can't just rely on it, but I am that old school football kind of guy. I just want to see, ground and pound all day long and just bring out a defense that's just a slobber knocker. So, bringing in Dan Quinn, not really a bad idea in that essence. Defensive minded coaches are definitely where I typically lean towards. However, for the sake of Broncos country, for the sake of sanity through, a lot of people around this planet, I understand the desire for let's get some explosiveness. Let's get, something different, something that isn't this type of football that I love very, very much. However, with the list that you brought up, because I will say my personal favorite that I'd like to see is Flores. I'd love to see Flores brought in here. A coach that's coming from a team who he just led to 2 consecutive winning seasons after being god awful for the better part of a decade. And to do it with nobody, like who on the Miami Dolphins can you really name out? Because I sure can't, really pick out a good. But for the most part, like it's not really like they just had this stellar team that was just able to pull out wins when they shouldn't have. It was a lot of coaching, really bringing in a group of players to say, hey guys, we're not really expected to do much. We've kind of started off really horribly. Let's go out there and shock some people. And they did. So that's where I would go. But as far as that list is concerned, I'm torn on Dan Quinn. I actually really have to agree with the idea of Kellen Moore. You know, I'm for the young blood. I am for the excitement that could bring in. Definitely bring in someone who can help, because that's one of the biggest issues in bringing in a young guy is just the lack of experience. So,
and that is number one priority. Let's bring in somebody that's going to get this right. You know. So, all right, Keith, let's go with you. Who do you like?
Well, first I'll go back to you don't have to throw it up, but a prior slide. 3rd overall in points allowed, 8th overall in passing yards, 15th overall in rushing, 12th in turnovers. For me, I don't need another defensive head coach. I need an offensive head coach. So for me, I don't want to go down the path of a Dan Quinn. I'm sorry. I would rather go down the path of a Kellen Moore. I'd rather go down the path of a Brian Callahan. I'd even like to go down the path of I won't go Nathaniel Hackett or anything on you. How's that?
Good man.
How about even Kevin O'Connell, because of where he's at in LA with the Rams. So for me, I need somebody who comes in here and changes where we're at. We're already one of the top defenses. So if we're talking about being 50% better on challenge flags and we had a coach that even was loved by all the players. So you have to be loved by all the players, be a top 3 defense, and start getting improvement in other head coaching aspects to be equal or better to Vic Fangio. I don't think that's going to get it done. We need someone who comes in with an offensive mind, and I'd like to see an offensive coach. We've went defense numerous times now. So,
all right,
Matt.
Fantastic. So this is going to lead me to where I'm at. And, one thing that I'm taking to heart about this, and from the George Payton press conference, he said, I don't care about offense. I don't care about defense. I don't care about play calling. I care about someone that's going to come here and lead. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we see, the first person you want to lean on right away because of the experience is Dan Quinn. But I kind of want to pose a different type of scenario. We always talk about how we need to groom this quarterback position. We need to look for our next dynasty quarterback. We need to look for that guy. So I'm coming at it with a different mentality of let's go back to 2007, I believe. Let's go back to Pittsburgh when they brought in Mike Tomlin. They went out, they found a kid who was showing promise, showed that he could control a locker room. His players respected him. They went out and they made sure that they got good coaches around him in Bruce Arians and Dick LeBeau. So right now I see two great names who can relate to players who have been their praise is all about their leadership, and that's John Gannon and Jared Mayo. Don't get me wrong, they're super young. But Mike Tomlin was young. He was a defensive coordinator for 1 season prior to him taking that job in Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. So why not go after one of these young guys like a Gerard Mayo, like a John Gannon? And why not? We look at there's so many good coordinators out there right now that could be stepping into being this next guy. We look at Baltimore. There's James Urban, who's been credited with a ton of development and working with Lamar Jackson. We look at I'm drawing a blank on his name. Give me 1 sec. What's his name? I had it in my head and I lost it. Greg Olson in Las Vegas, working with Derek Carr and all of those things, both who are going to most likely be available for no offensive coordinator position. You look at a Mike Zimmer, a Terrell Austin, someone who's had some success as a defensive coordinator to help Mayo get his bearings. Let Mayo focus on managing this team. And maybe we have our next Mike Tomlin, a coach that's going to be here for 15 years, a coach that's going to usher in the next generation of quarterback. And we could be talking about how we went from being the team that had a 6-year drought and one of the worst falls from the Super Bowl to being the next big dynasty. I'm looking at it with a big picture in mind. When I fear you go after Dan Quinn, I fear you go after Nathaniel Hackett, you're going to go waste all this money on Aaron Rodgers. You're going to go waste all this capital on getting Russell Wilson. And then we're going to see what we've seen in 2015, but we didn't waste draft capital to get Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. We wasted a ton of financial resources to go get one of these guys that everyone's pounding the table for. Not only you're giving up financial resources, you're giving up a ton of draft capital. And then I'm worried we'll see even a bigger fall from grace than what we've seen in 2015. There's my spiel.
I like it, man.
So you want Mayo?
Box down.
So you want Mayo or Gannon, right?
I want Mayo I would prefer Mayo Gannon. I think Moore is a great coach. I think he would be a great person. But the same thing, he's coming when we attack it with that approach. He's going to come in, and I'm worried he's going to get overwhelmed trying to fix the biggest problem. That's offense. You bring in one of these other guys that's kind of more of a savvy guy that's had pretty solid production offensively. and allow them to worry about that. Let this head coach really learn what it is to be a head coach. So we don't got Vic Fangio. We don't got Vance Joseph. We don't have what's his name?
And
the guy who we all the other guy we don't name.
That's where Dan Quinn with a strong offensive coordinator, and the offensive staff makes sense, because Dan Quinn has done this before. He understands what's expected of a head coach. I mean, it can be overwhelming, like he said. I mean, you just come in and you go from being a linebacker coach to next thing you know, you're running the entire show. I mean, yeah, it worked for Tomlin. I mean, and things, I've read a lot, and I've read a lot about some of these younger coaches making the leap is the fear of leadership. Now, I know Mayo. I think Mayo is cut from a different cloth, and I would maybe give someone like that a shot. But I think Mayo needs to become a defensive coordinator first before he becomes a head coach,
That's where it's going to be interesting, though. So for him to be able to do that, he's going to have to leave New England. If we look back,
right? No, I understand that.
Because so Patricia, even Brian Flores, they were not defensive coordinators before they left.
Right. So I mean, I just don't want us to take a shot on a young guy and he doesn't have the leadership abilities.
So,
we saw what lack of leadership got you. I mean, we just had 3 years of it.
To Mike Tomlin's, the Mike Tomlin reference you had, I would love to have a Bruce Arians and a Dick LeBeau alongside any head coach. I mean, those are the two of the best coordinators you could possibly ask for, probably, all-time list type of things that we're talking about. So,
they're both.
That's a very tough pairing to put around, I think, a young coach.
It's just more of the solution, is what I'm saying. You're giving them someone that's got this, that's had successful production in their respective positions.
Yeah,
so they're essentially going to be coming over and fulfilling a duty they've already done. That's kind of what I'm more leaning towards. You're going to get two guys who have the experience to guide this guy, and Usher take some of the immediate pressure off, allow him to manage his coaches and allow his coordinators to manage the players.
All I'm saying is Mike Tomlin hasn't had a losing season, and part of that is
that's the dream scenario. That is,
and part of that is the fact of having those fantastic coordinators, I think, around him right at the very beginning. You get 2 or 3 years in the door, and now you got your feet wet. Now you can be the head coach. Now you can change out a coordinator. It's okay. It's really tough to have fantastic coordinators around, or I think a rookie. Vance Joseph. You know what I mean? Vance Joseph might be getting another chance in Miami. So I mean, I don't think he was surrounded by fantastic coordinators. If not, maybe he's a Denver Bronco head coach still.
Right.
Absolutely. And I mean, we also got to factor in management, though, too. We have a coach here, a general manager now who has a different vision, a vision of kind of building things up the right way. You look at Minnesota, they invest in things slowly. They're okay with the slow, methodical pace. And I know that's something that Denver Bronco fans don't want to hear, because we hear everyone pounding the table to go after an Aaron Rodgers. That's my fear. You get a Dan Quinn. He brings in.
That's not true. If you bring in a younger OC, it doesn't mean it has to be Aaron Rodgers.
But at the same time,
and it's not even a guarantee that Aaron Rodgers wants to leave Green Bay.
But
he may win a Super Bowl, may want to stay there. He may retire.
So if you're
you can't shy away from a head coach for the fear that Aaron Rodgers is going to show up.
Okay, but if you go with Dan Quinn and he's not paired with a good, we go and get just one of it. Let's just say he goes with Darrell Bevel.
Problem if you guys don't come up with a good offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator to support this head coach, that's a management issue.
Yeah, and then one other thing that we just highlighting Dan Quinn, we talked about it earlier in the group chat. A lot of what his people are coming from are from that Shanahan tree, the Shanahan, the LaFleur. He's got all those ties back to Atlanta. That's kind of where he dips to. Right now in Denver, granted, yes, it's new management. It could be a new owner. But if I'm coming from the Shanahan tree, that's one place I'm probably not very trustworthy of.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done the Shanahan family and tree pretty dirty here.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to run that deep where – I think that's a Mike Shanahan and a Kyle Shanahan thing. But when you get 3 layers deep into the Shanahan tree, I don't think people are going to be like, well, I'm not going to go there because they mess Mike Shanahan around. So So, and like you said, it's going to be no ownership. Joe Ellis is going to be gone. John Elway is going to be gone.
So if you're Dan Quinn, who's the perfect offensive coordinator for you if you have one? The one that can be, let's say, that has the flexibility to be able to handle an Aaron Rodgers personality, yet still be able to have that development trait. Possibly. That's my problem. That's why I've been so stressed, is I haven't found a guy that I've seen that's kind of been in the Dan Quinn realm. I mean, we look at Luke Getsy. That's great. That's the rumor. But that's only tied to Aaron Rodgers. We look at what he's done development-wise.
But you don't know if that's just tied to Aaron Rodgers.
But if we look at the development trait, look how poorly Jordan Love has developed over 2 seasons under Getsy, Hackett, and LaFleur.
Okay. But you gotta sit there and say, is it all the coaching? That's the problem. Just like you say here, it's not all the coaching. Some of it is on Drew Lock. Well, some of it could be on Love as well.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying by then you'd be hoping with 2 years essentially on the bench, 1 season with him not even having any pressure of even being the backup, we would have seen at least a better product from what we've seen. I mean, this is also the same coaching staff.
Well, why do you think they called Aaron Rodgers bluff and brought him back? Because...
I mean, and this is another thing. This was also the same coaching staff that was rumored to be having Jordan Love sitting on the sideline by himself, throwing freaking balls into trash cans. That's why I'm not happy about this Green Bay Packers tree that we're trying to chase after potentially. I'm not a huge fan of it. I have concerns about the development. I have concerns about the future moving forward. At the beginning of this offseason, I was so pounding the table to go after one of these veteran quarterbacks, but I really don't think that's the way to go. If you ask me, do I want Aaron Rodgers? Do I want Russell Wilson's? Or do I want Drew Lock? I'm going to tell you right now, I want Drew Lock, and you'll never hear those words come out of my mouth again.
Ooh.
Man, but I'm glad
somebody marked that tape right there, man.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull that.
Yeah, that'll definitely be played on repeat on Twitter and everything else.
That's right.
So,
no, I kind of want to jump in here because I absolutely agree with Matt. That's one of the biggest issues that I've had with seeing the way the Broncos country is reacting to all this. And, Kurt, for as much as I agree with a lot of what he said, man, Rodgers is not it. It's not. The problem that you run into is everybody wants that immediate success. They want the Peyton Manning coming in here and suddenly we're the greatest team in the league. And that's just, it's fun for 2-3 seasons. And then we're back into this exact same situation for 5 years trying to figure out what's going wrong. I would much rather see the true development of a franchise that turns into something that could have extended dominance. I would love to be the next Patriots. I would love to be in a group that is looking back over almost 25 years being like, yeah, we have controlled the NFL. And the thing that I think that people really need to kind of see and understand of what's coming is that Peyton's kind of giving me that feel. George Payton, he has taken every concern I've had and just absolutely, blown away my expectations for it. The fact that he was smart enough to not get trapped into we have to draft a quarterback right here, right now. And instead went after Pat Surtain and some other really good defensive studs, even late in the draft, just shows that he is focused on the future. Showed that he wasn't going to come in as a year 1 GM and say, I'm fixing it all right now and we're going to win this season. No, he knows that it's going to take some time and that he's here for, at least 6 years. Let's go ahead and make it to where my 3rd and 4th year, we're looking at a Super Bowl. To where my 5th year, we're already talking an extension because we're going to be looking at more and more Super Bowls rather than I bring in Rodgers, we go to a Super Bowl or 2, maybe win one of them, God forbid. But then we're in this exact same situation. And I don't want to go through that anymore.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I mean, I don't want Aaron Rodgers here. I haven't wanted Aaron Rodgers here. I think I've been anti-Aaron Rodgers almost the whole season. I've said the only vet that I'm trading and selling the farm for is Watson because he's still young enough that you could get 10 years out of the guy, but what baggage is coming with him? And that's the other concern you have. I'm with Matt. I'm a Lock guy. I want Lock back with the rookie guy and you just roll with it, and let's fix this and let's fix it long-term, not short-term.
Okay, real quick, we're going to put that on the record. I am not a Lock guy. I just said I would rather have Lock than Aaron Rodgers.
You said it, Matt. Matt, you said it.
I would rather have Lock than Aaron Rodgers if this is the way we're going. Because like I said, back to what Greg has said real quick. I know, Keith, I'm cutting you off real quick again.
It's all right, man.
It just comes back down to when we rush things and we buy things in the NFL, it always ends up biting us back in the rear end. Like let's look at those Los Angeles Rams. They essentially have bought this team. It's going to be great for 2 seasons. And then what's going to happen? It's going to be a complete collapse. I don't want the complete collapse again. And this going back to the draft capital it would take to obtain Russell Wilson. Deshaun Watson would be an exception for me. But that's a whole nother mess that we'll have to get into another day. But chasing the Aaron Rodgers, those types of things, it just doesn't make sense. Get yourself a young guy to go with your young quarterback. Go get yourself, if you're comfortable enough with Drew Lock, stick him out. If you need to go get Teddy Bridgewater for another year, you need to go and get a Mitch Trubisky to provide that QB to take the pressure off of everybody for 1 season. We essentially just wasted a season because we needed to see what Vic Fangio have. Why can't we technically put faith in instilling in towards our future for 1 or 2 seasons? You don't waste that pick. You can go and fill your needs. We have a massive hole at right tackle. Bobby Massey, sure, he did great, but he's also north of 32 years old. You look at defensive end edge. If you go with a Dan Quinn or a 4-3 front, we don't have the personnel. We don't have a coverage linebacker. There's Devin Lloyd. There's N'Kobe Dean. There's Charles Cross. There's so many options that you could use with that capital to really build your franchise. And I think that's what the Broncos need to do, because I am tired of the revamp versus rebuild mindset. And if we go down that path again, what's the point of having, we might just be looking at the new version of Elway and Fangio.
But Dan Quinn doesn't automatically say you're going down that path.
It all depends on who
Matt.
It all depends
That's
on who
just
that
your
offensive
assumption,
coordinator
Matt.
is.
That's just your assumption.
But it's what the cards are showing me, and I'm willing to bet that would be the target. We hear Dan Quinn and Luke Getsy come in. I guarantee you 6 weeks later, within the next 6 weeks, we hear a nonstop. Denver's going after a veteran quarterback. Nonstop.
Okay. Keith?
I'm just
you finished recording there, and
no, I'm ordering a bumper sticker for Matt. Lock for life.
Do it.
Fantastic.
Hey,
I'm gonna go paint a big old 3 on the side of his vehicle.
Hey, I'll rock it.
Really looking like Dale Earnhardt going down there. No, I mean, I'm in 100% agreement with, I think, all of you guys. I've been pounding the table. I don't want to waste future and capital in order to try to get a short-term solution that, who knows, like you said. Hey, if Aaron Rodgers even came in and got you 1 Super Bowl first year, are you okay if he walks away and he retires and you're hung up for the next 2-3 years? Players gone, no draft picks, the whole 9.
Yeah,
for 1 Super Bowl. I mean, that's not really building anything, is it?
No,
then you're back to square one. You're back to hoping that you can get 8 wins again the next season. So not where we want to go and not what we want to be doing. Build smartly. I think George Payton has done exactly that. I think his trades, his draft picks, everything. I mean, it should be up for GM of the year, in my opinion. But go the slow path. Build this right. Don't try to fix everything tomorrow. And maybe you guys are talking me into a younger head coach more than I think. The more I think about it, and building this all together and just letting this all grow organically, right?
No, absolutely. And the last thing I would say regarding George Payton really quick, though, is with this new ownerships on the thing, you got to look at it 2 ways. You take the big swing and it pays off for this Aaron Rodgers, let's say it's Aaron Rodgers, Dan Quinn, whoever package. But if it doesn't, if let's say that new owner is Jeff Bezos, you don't think he'll just say, here's your money and get the hell out of here? Because he's not a guy who wants to lose. Peyton Manning is not a guy who wants to lose. These guys, depending on who these owners are, George Payton's really got to figure it out. But if he's coming at them with like, hey, I get it, we're not going to win the Super Bowl this season, but we're coming together with the plan. George Payton's looking at what's going to provide me financial security. Financial securities, I'm investing in this kind of younger development that may take a little bit of time. Granted, yeah, we may be a quarterback away from a Super Bowl, but that is also with a Vic Fangio defense. We don't know what the defense is going to look like under a new coordinator. We don't know who the quarterback is, who's going to make these 3 receivers look like they should look. And we don't know what Javonte Williams is going to look like when he has to be a bell cow. So we really don't know. There's so many unknowns. Why not just take the safer route and build for your future? That's my final thing. If I'm George Payton and I'm looking longevity and I'm trying to save my own behind, I'm going to do the smart route and try to build a dynasty versus 3 years of success. And then I'm looking for my next job. Or all failing and I don't get a single Super Bowl and Aaron Rodgers walks out in a year.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yep. Completely agreed there. And I do want to touch on this real quick. What Kurt brings up of who you're going to draft. There's nobody in this draft as far as franchise quarterbacks. Yeah, we're not drafting a quarterback this draft. That's where I think the genius of George Payton is going to come in handy. I highly doubt we're going to see a quarterback drafted from him in this one. If we do, it's going to be, trying to find that Tom Brady of, all right, let me grab someone here in the 6th because I have 3 picks in the 6th or something like that. I mean, he just, he's got this insane amount of picks that he can kind of toss one away on a, let's see what this kid can do type thing. So it's I really have a lot of faith in this one. Keith had posted it when the season ended of really feeling good for the future. And personally, man, I feel great for the future as a Broncos fan. So
no, and I do too, and I think a lot does hinge on this coaching decision. I have the utmost confidence in George Payton to make the right decision of what's going to be best for the Broncos, because he's already shown that this year. He could have went out for Matt. They were ready to announce Matthew Stafford, and then the Rams came swooping in and pretty much doubled down, and Payton said, I'm not paying that, So, and I just see this guy making very smart choices, and educated choices. And I think that he's going to only do things, after really good due diligence. And if Dan Quinn is the guy he picks, and he picks a couple of young coordinators to go with him, why can't you have a Dan Quinn to lead some young coordinators, Matt, when you're talking about let's get some young guys and build for the future? Well, let's have that one guy that's done it and let those young coordinators.
Because coordinators that are leave after one season.
Not always.
Most of the time they get hot, they're gone. That's why you're hearing Brian Callahan. That's why you're hearing Kevin O'Connell. They don't stick around. They most often leave. So you did all you got the old guy. You got the old guy.
Well, that's a risk then you take. You could get an old guy. You could get an old guy. He could come in here and do good and be gone.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
It took a long time for Vic Fangio.
Right.
True.
He was hot for a really long time.
Yep.
I'm not disagreeing. There's going to be so many different ways it can go, but there's one comment that I want to address. There's a bunch of chats, so I'm not going to bring up one because it keeps referring to this quarterback class. And I've been one to say it. This quarterback class is weaker, but this quarterback class has 2 ways to go in. This could be the Christian Ponder, Jake Locker reboot, or this could be the same draft class where Mitch Trubisky headed the draft class, and we've seen guys like Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes slide, and they weren't considered top guys in that draft class. And now look who are probably 2 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. We don't really know. There's always going to be a flyer. Do I think Denver wasted a pick at number 9 with the quarterback? Absolutely not. But right now, you can't tell the difference between QB1 and QB6. At least no one I've read can. So you might be able to get that same guy at the end of round 1 or even early round 2. So who knows?
Depends who your guy is, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
If a Carson Strong slides to the beginning of the 2nd round, you
I'm
maybe try to trade up and get him.
Get the 5th-year option. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then George Payton, I could see him making a move like that.
I see George Payton being a smart guy, and I think see him making some smart decisions. It'll be interesting to see how this whole head coaching thing, shakes out.
Couple weeks.
So is there anybody on that list you do not want to see? Besides you, Matt, we know you don't want to see Dan Quinn. So, Keith, is there somebody on that list you would not want to see as a head coach?
For me, and it just because of all the prior reports and the reason that a lot of people are questioning how come this guy isn't already a head coach, Eric Bieniemy.
Yep. Same place I'm going.
Yeah, I have a lot of nervousness around him. He's behind an offensive mastermind like Andy Reid. And I think that's what gets it done for him. I don't have any faith in him to come in here and not only be an offensive coordinator, but be a head coach for us. So it makes me nervous.
And I'm with Kurt here. I like this option. It's a cheap option. You try it this year, if it doesn't work, then I guess then you're back at the drawing board. But if we're going to build it right, let's build it right, not chase vets. And let's try to develop somebody that we maybe have in-house that showed at the end of the season that he's improved a bit, Granted, it wasn't the flashy numbers and everything, but Matt, are you froze up or okay? Yeah, I was gonna say, boy, Matt sure is quiet. I'm talking about Locke, and he's very still. But
I was gonna say, Kurt's chiming in and say we have our young QB in Locke, coach him up. We have destroyed Locke with Shermer, coach him up.
Yeah, and I think Locke has shown that he can clean up some aspects of his game that people said he couldn't. Is it a guarantee that he's going to pan out? No, it's not. But I would hate for us to let him go somewhere else, and then next thing you know, Locke has turned into a top 15 quarterback somewhere else. Well, we're still sitting there trying to figure it out.
Not only that, you have a guy who was taken in the second, should have been a first in a lot of people's minds, and you're talking about taking a guy in the second or in the third, maybe going back up into the first in order to get a guy that you still have to develop, still coming from college, still doesn't understand how the NFL works. So I agree. We haven't given this guy a chance. He needs a chance to actually be coached. He's cheap as chips next year. So why not go ahead and keep him around and have him be your starting QB and figure it out from there, whether it be this year getting the guy behind him or the next year and finding the replacement.
Right.
Yeah, I absolutely agree there. Just throw mine in. Definitely Eric Bieniemy. That's one that I don't know that I really want to see. I know a lot of people are hot on him, but for a lot of the reasons that we talk about, obviously all the rumors coming out of a laundry list of issues that are off the field, but simply for the big one that when you see Patrick Mahomes walk off the field, he's not talking to Bieniemy, he's talking to Andy Reid. We know that Andy Reid is just the wizard when it comes to offense, and so taking someone who's kind of unproven in that right, because he is underneath Andy Reid, I don't know that I really trust it. The other one would be Nathaniel Hackett. I have no interest in seeing him come here as honestly as anything, even as a coordinator, simply because he's gotten to mess around with Aaron Rodgers. It kind of comes right back down to that Josh McDaniels. We brought him in here after he did all the things he did, but that was with Tom Brady. When you're talking about some future Hall of Fame quarterbacks, it's really hard to give a lot of the credit to the offensive coordinator and they're not proven elsewhere.
And he's just like Bieniemy. He's not calling the plays. LaFleur's calling the plays up there. So, so Hackett, another guy that is he really qualified to come in here as an offensive coordinator, let alone a head coach.
I just want to say once again, though, my leaning is that I want to see all offensive coordinators or quarterback coaches as my head coach candidate. So I know that a lot of people are high on Dan Quinn. I know Dave sounds like you're a little bit high on Dan Quinn. I just don't feel like, again, that we already have a top defense, and the difference isn't going to be a little bit better coaching and a few better red flags thrown. The difference is going to be whether we can actually put points on the board, and that was obviously in the slides that we put up earlier, offensive versus defense. I just feel like we need to go that way, and my fear is that if we come in with a defensive minded head coach, that especially one like Dan Quinn, he could absolutely stifle any offensive coordinator, especially if he's a young offensive coordinator.
Yeah, and an offensive guy. I mean, I'm not gonna be upset if we bring in an offensive-minded guy. If George has faith that this guy can be the leader of the team, because, and I'll say it again, we saw the last 3 years what it's like with having a team where the head coach has no idea how to be a leader, and we don't need to get back into another situation like that. We need someone who can manage the entire process and put good coordinators under him. So if it is a young offensive mind that Peyton, decides on, I'm okay with that, but let's make sure it's the right guy, and not 2 or 3 years we're sitting here kicking this again saying, gee, we really blew that one, So,
yeah. Well, I know we're down to 3 guys now with just me and Greg and Dave now, but you guys all on board that we have faith in George Payton and what he chooses?
100%. In Peyton, we trust.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm that way. I had some apprehensions on draft night, because I thought quarterback was our most pressing need. And when he just sort of ignored it, I had concerns, but now you look at it, I mean, Pat Surtain is going to be he's going to be an all-pro for probably many years, and in a passing game, a passing league, you definitely need some cornerbacks like that. So,
yeah, and at least you didn't come back and miss in round 2 either, right?
Right.
Yeah, you get Javonte Williams, which is a pretty good piece for the future as well. So
he had a good draft. He has some good trades,
Yeah,
in season, getting Kenny Young in here and
getting
Vaughn out, and getting some extra draft capital there. So I think he's done a stellar job. So I'm not going to question how he goes around about this, head coaching search and who he selects. So
I guess I just look back and whether the decision was made in the past, GM ownership, kind of whatever it happened to be, there was always a certain lot of question to be around it, but just because of all the other acquisitions and trades and everything else and personnel management that we kind of saw from maybe who was in charge. It's kind of odd for us all to be sitting here now and with a fairly new GM to the Denver Broncos, all be going, you know what, we're okay with whatever George Paton goes with. We have faith in his decision making already. So
yeah.
Just want to point that out. That's a big difference for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it definitely is a huge difference from the last 5 years. I mean, and I know all of us as Bronco fans, we all love John Elway as our quarterback, but he's done some damage as a general manager and as an executive of this team. So
correct.
So let's all hope that Peyton Manning group gets
that
job.
I was just about to bring that up because when Ryan Atkinson had asked the question, we hit the owner search thing and we just kind of went through it real quick of like, oh, this is who it all is, and we went on. But he brought up a fantastic point much earlier in the show. What do you guys think about Peyton and Elway being in 2 different camps?
Yeah, and I really hope it's the Manning group. I mean, we've seen the John Elway, the executive. It's just like, just because you're a great quarterback, it always doesn't work out. Look at Dan Marino. He failed in Miami, when he went in and tried to be an executive there. I just think Peyton Manning is just wired so much differently. I think this guy, the guy's excellent at everything he does.
Yeah.
So I see him being really good at this as well. Now, some people have said, I've heard this rumor, that if Peyton Manning comes in, George Paton may be out because Manning may want to run the show himself. So we'll see. I mean, maybe he'll make Eli his GM.
Oh jeez.
Oh boy.
For me, I think what it speaks to is the fact that you just hit the nail on the head, Dave. Everything that Manning does, it seems to turn to gold, right? He does fantastic in everything he does. I think it speaks volumes that he could have certainly paired up with an Elway and coming up with a powerhouse ownership group that would have been just probably flowing through, and everyone would have been in mass approval with those two guys paired together. He decided to go separately, and I think that speaks volumes to exactly what's going on and with Elway versus Manning, and where Manning wants to take maybe this team.
Yeah. Greg, I mean, would you prefer one group over the other?
Yes, absolutely. It was brought up the other day on the radio when I was listening to 92.5 that this is one of the biggest crossroads that this organization's had in 40 years. And I kind of sat there for a second thinking like, man, is it really? And it's like, yeah, this is the end of the Elway era. He was either, our quarterback or an executive for, the better parts of the last 4 decades. Like, this is a massive, massive change. And personally, I'm kind of over the Elway era. We've seen where it got us. We saw what his decision-making ability was when he was, an executive. I'm ready to kind of send him off into his sunset. I thank him for what he did as a quarterback. I thank him for bringing Manning here. But outside of that, I'm ready to put this chapter behind us.
Yeah, and there's even stories out there that Elway really didn't land Manning. It was what was the guy's name? Does anybody remember who was the working with Manning at the time? I mean, with Elway at the time, he's the guy who really sealed the deal.
Sure.
And Elway took all the credit for it, of course. So.
Right. As the greats do. But yeah, if it had to be one or the other, I would definitely, there you go.
Yeah, Brian Sanders.
I would definitely much rather go with Peyton Manning's group, simply because I know the issue comes in of, would he want to, make a lot of the decisions? Would he want to be like that involved in that side of it? The thing that I have with Manning is he makes the right decision. And so I'm sure if he were to come in and say, all right, I'm buying this, buying the Broncos with this group, whatever, and I'll be the primary owner, he might look at George Payton and say, you're doing a phenomenal job, kid. Keep it up, and stand off to the side.
And he may,
I don't see Elway doing that.
No.
I don't see some of the others doing that. So while I would like it to be, kind of one of the local guys, I would much rather it be someone who just has the money, like an Anschutz, who can just come in and say, Peyton, it's all yours. Tell me where to write the checks.
Right.
That would be the dream. But I believe Peyton would be, Manning would be smart enough to say, I'm not going to step on the toes when the toes are walking the right direction.
Right. So. And I hope so. So hopefully the story or the rumor I heard that if Manning comes in, Peyton may be out. It's just somebody just trying to make a story. So, all right, gents, we went a long time tonight.
Oh boy,
had a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and there is a lot to talk about. And Greg, we really appreciate you coming on with us. So, anytime you want to come on, just let us know. We appreciate you coming on. And
absolutely, appreciate you welcoming me in.
In the crease, is that coming out, or are you guys on hold, or what's going on within the crease?
So for right now, it's just on a bit of a hiatus. Just trying to figure out personnel, kind of get everything situated. In the meantime, I will still be writing articles and doing our post-game posts that I do after every game, just to be able to kind of keep everybody up to date. But as far as the video side of In the Crease, we are just taking a bit of a break till we kind of get some stuff figured out, get some personnel issues figured out. And then eventually it will be back, probably with some changes. But yeah, it's definitely it's not gone for good. And then there are some other plans for even more stuff as far as doing like an NHL wide show rather than just an Avs focus show, stuff like that. So
okay.
Yeah, definitely plans there, but for right now, it is on a bit of a pause.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing you guys back behind the camera again. And then, Keith, you got your Bronco group. Was it Bronco Roundup?
Yeah, Denver Bronco Roundup. You can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Been a little bit quiet over there as I've been focusing in here on the 4th and 99 and Rocky Mountain Sports Network. But as time has allowed us, because of no playoff run, I should be back up to speed a little bit. So you can always check me out there. Obviously, you can hit up any of us at on our Twitter handles, located right at the bottom of the page, at Keith Brugman, if you're looking for me on Twitter.
And Kenny Kirkpatrick, hold on. Kenny wants to know if he can hop on. Anybody up for sticking around?
Yeah,
we can hang out for a little bit afterwards.
Right.
So everybody that's signing out, we're gonna hang out with Kenny for a little bit.
Well, yeah. So much for getting out of here.
I guess.
Good thing the wife's still gone.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Matt, do I need to send him an invite? Yeah, I'll get it and send it to Kenny really quick, and we'll get him in here.
Hey, thanks for everybody who tuned in to the 4th and 99. All your likes, shares, subscribed. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. A lot of things that we had to talk about, and we appreciate everyone chiming in, having lots of comments, and always appreciate the back and forth that we go with all our fans. So,
and hopefully Kenny will be popping in here any minute. I just sent him the invite. Yeah, here he is. The guy from Maryland, from back east.
Kenny, oh boy,
Kenny with KK Sports. How are you doing?
Doing well, fellas. Thanks for sticking around, man. I'm an overnight guy. I'm a vampire. I work overnight hospitals. So to have you guys on late night is a pleasure because Kurt and the guys on the East Coast, they're all in bed or getting ready for bed. So,
and I want to let everybody know out there that Kenny was about 36 hours or maybe even less, probably about between 24 and 36 hours away from pledging his allegiance to the Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
But the New York Giants saved him. They fired Joe Judge. So,
but you guys welcomed me and always been welcome and love you guys over at Rocky Mountains Sports Network. You're going to be my AFC team next year. So I will be following the Broncos just as much as the Giants. And anytime you want me to come on, I will give you intake as a Bronco fan as well.
Okay.
Awesome, buddy.
I listened to last week's show. The one thing I wanted to say, and I loved all your lists. And it's funny because Kurt's got a list, Rodgers, and everybody was different. My number one guy is Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm going to explain why real quick. You keep Drew Lock. Keith.
Okay.
You know Jimmy G is going to get hurt. He's only going to cost you a second or third round pick. You don't know he's going to get hurt. He's not going to cost you much. And that's going to give Drew Lock that chance to get a great chance of getting that job back for the future.
So we're just delaying Drew Lock a little bit further down the road. Gotcha.
Yeah.
We're hoping bad will on an individual
I'm trying to
further Drew Lock's career.
Yeah, I'm trying to be a little more realistic as the Aaron Rodgers, $50 million a year and give up 12 draft picks like Kurt for 1 year. But go with Jimmy Garoppolo. He's a cheaper option.
Jimmy, we're really excited to have you here. We kind of hope you get injured and Drew Lock gets another chance.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. Especially seeing what you just did against LA.
My other options
still got a little bit in.
Garoppolo is not a horrible quarterback. Everyone remember, and it's injuries that really kill him. But I mean, Garoppolo had the 49ers in the Super Bowl 2 years ago.
And you know what, Dave? We're wild card weekend. 49ers are my sleeper team to go
beat
far
the Cowboys.
In these playoffs.
That's what we forgot to do, guys. And
I think the 49ers match up great against the Cowboys.
Now that we have Mr. Kinney here.
Oh boy. Matt Castles is a great quarterback.
Right. So, yeah. We can go ahead and do some picks for wild card weekend. Kinney's here. He can take Matt's place. So we'll start out with the Raiders at the Bengals. Let's go with Kitty first. He's the guest. Kenny, who's your choice in that game?
All right, so you brought me in to roast some picks because I know Matt's in the lead. So if I'm taking Matt's spot, you want me to pick who I like, or
these don't
wink. Do you want me to pick who I like? Wink, or do you want me to really pick who I like?
Wink. So
this is the toughest one I think on paper. Raiders have been hot. That game. I think the game was going to go in a tie, as far as people say. That's my opinion. I don't know. They had the ball at the 50. The Chargers, maybe they shouldn't have called that timeout. We'll see. But this is going to be tough. Bengals are still young. This is all new experience for them. But I'm going to go Bengals here in this one. I don't think the Raiders are going to get that upset. I think Bengals got something special.
Greg, who you got in that game?
I'm going Bengals as well. I really think we are seeing the emergence of Burrow as an elite quarterback in this league. I think he is really going to start shining, kind of have his Patrick Mahomes moment. And I think this is kind of where it starts. Raiders don't have the defense that has been shutting Burrow down this season, and it hasn't been a lot of defense that have been able to do that. So I think he's going to pick him apart. I think it's going to be a fun game. I could definitely see it coming a bit of a shootout. Because he kind of ran into the same issue with Justin Herbert. But yeah, I think the Bengals have the edge on this one.
Yeah, Keith.
Well, I completely agree. I think Joe Burrow is 100% coming into a quarterback that I didn't know if he'd actually become, and he's just came back in this year after the injury and done fantastic. That being said, do I save some Las Vegas Raider magic? I just feel like these guys are on a run. They're continuing to win. They're winning for an interim head coach. Cincinnati Bengals have been up and down, and I just feel like Las Vegas Raiders have the momentum. So I'm going to go Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay. And I'm going to go Cincy. You guys know where I stand with Joe Burrow.
Yep.
I love me some Joe Burrow. And they got those 3 receivers and that tight end and Joe Mixon. That's a dangerous offense, and if they can neutralize Crosby on the Raiders defensive line, it could be a long game for the Raiders. I've seen some people say Cincinnati could easily put up 50 on this Raiders defense. So
okay,
we'll see what happens. All right.
Yeah,
so
like it.
Keith's the odd man out here with the Raiders. All right.
It's funny. We had an odd man out too on our show earlier, Keith. So we had one odd man out too. So.
Yeah.
Good, man.
New England at Buffalo. We'll start with Greg this time. Greg, who do you like in this game?
I got to go with the Patriots simply because of Bill Belichick. The dude just knows what to do when it comes to postseason. And that is saying it as someone who's not a Patriots fan, someone who is a fan of Josh Allen. There's been some struggles on the Buffalo side this year that we didn't really see last year. And yeah, you're going up against the most experienced head coach in the postseason right now. And, he finds the way to win those games that he has to win. On top of that, Mac Jones kind of becoming a little more than I think most of us were expecting. I think it's going to be a close one. I don't see it being a blowout like it could potentially be with Cincy and Vegas. But yeah, I'm not betting ever against Bill Belichick. The man, he probably made a deal with the devil or something. But he has whatever that thing is. So.
Yeah, him and Nick Saban met, and they made a deal with him. So
exactly.
Keith, where are you going?
The funny thing is, you talk about how he always seems to do the right things in the games. He once had the number 1 seed in the AFC. He's now coming in as the 6th seed in the AFC and having to go on the road to Buffalo to play the Bills. I don't know. I see a roller coaster of a team I just can't trust necessarily. You got a rookie QB that you're trusting a lot in a playoff position. Not all of them could be Tom Brady. I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills with a win at home. They should. They're a better seeded team.
All right. And over on K&K, I went with the Pats, so I'm going to stay at the Pats here. I boil it down to coaching as well. I think Belichick will teach Sean McDermott a few lessons this weekend. Kenny, where are you going?
I'm with you, Dave. I went with the Patriots, but here's a little thing to think about. One of our friends on our show brought this up weeks ago. He's a co-host on Thursdays, and I totally agree with him. The weather, both teams are supposed to be cold weather teams. It's going to be single digits, but Buffalo is not built, in my opinion, for cold weather. They don't have the run game, and you give Belichick a third game to prepare for the third time. Round 1 went to New England. Round 2 went to Buffalo. Belichick's going to take it. And I said this all along. If Buffalo gets home field advantage, it's going to be a disadvantage to them. As crazy as that sounds, because of the weather.
Oh.
And we saw what happened with the bad weather in their first meeting.
Right, and New England passed the ball 3 times, and just ran the ball down their throat. And Buffalo, like you said, they couldn't counter because they don't have that running game.
I will say, Brian Dabble, wherever he goes, if somebody hires him, is going to have a heck of a head coach. I think he's ready to move on and take the next step.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe he is ready to finally leave Buffalo and get out on his own. All right, Keith, we're going to let you go first this time.
Uh-oh.
We got the Philadelphia Eagles. I know Keith's high on the Eagles too. Keith and I both picked the Eagles quite a bit during our pick'em. That's probably why we finished so far behind Matt.
Yeah,
and some of
that was a Bronco homer.
Some of our other bad picks at Tampa Bay. So who do you have in this one?
I can't go all the way that way though. I love myself some Jalen Hurts. I love myself some Eagles from time to time in the NFC, but Tampa Bay is going to have to come out with a win on this. I mean, let's face it, it's Tom Brady, it's Bruce Arians. It's expected. Let's keep it going. Bruce Arians and Tampa Bay Buccaneers get a win.
Yeah, I'm going to go Tampa Bay in this one as well. I like what Philadelphia is doing, but I just don't know if Jalen Hurts is ready yet. So
yeah,
I like the way he's heading too. I'm with you, Keith. I love the guy. I think Jalen Hurts is going to turn in. He's going to be a better version of Lamar Jackson in the long run because he passes better. So, all right, Kenny.
I like it.
This one's Tampa Bay. I am going to be, on a side note, rooting for Devontae Smith. We have a couple of his family members that join us, cousins and uncle, and they're really nice people. So,
wonderful.
Be rooting for him on the side, but I don't think they're ready yet. Hats off to the Eagles. I am definitely not an Eagles fan. It's like you guys, Broncos and Chiefs. I despise the Eagles. But I will be, on a side note, rooting for him. But I think Tom and I think it's supposed to be possible rain there. So I think you might see a lot more running in this game. And I think Fournette and Jones, I know they might take over in this game.
Yep.
And defense for Tampa Bay as well. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay.
All right, Greg, we have not had a clean sweep yet. Are we going to have a clean sweep, or are you going to go with the Eagles?
So this is what's actually funny, is that I have been one of the people who has not been high on Tom Brady every single year. It was always he's going to tail off eventually, and the man has never tailed off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that Tampa Bay is going to win this game in the hopes that they lose, because for all the years that I have been negative to Tom Brady and he just keeps doing better, I'm going to hop on the Brady train and hope to God that it derails it. So going with Tampa Bay on this one.
Okay. All right. San Francisco at Dallas. This one here can be my upset of the week. Dallas, they just up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, that defense is really good, but their offense sometimes they struggle at times, and I just see Jimmy G coming in and before he becomes a Bronco next year.
Oh no.
But I think San Francisco can go in there and beat them, but I'm going to go with Dallas. But I would not be shocked if San Francisco beats Dallas. Kidding?
Yeah, that's good.
This is, like I said, this is my upset. This is the one I'm definitely high on upset. And it's not because I'm a Giants fan. I truly think the 49ers, Kittle, Deebo Samuel, they're getting healthy at the right time. Shanahan's going to run the ball, keep Dak in that offense off the field. And I think it's going to wear down that young defense for Dallas. And I think San Fran is going to make a deep run in this playoffs and beat your Aaron Rodgers Broncos. Packers next week.
Oh.
So I think they're going to make a deep run, a sleeper team for a deep run in these playoffs. And Jimmy G, watch out.
Okay. All right. Next game. Greg, what am I doing? Only two of us have picked. I'm ready to move on. Greg, San Francisco. See, it's late, but we've been on here for 2 hours. And my brain is fried. Greg, where are you going with this game?
I'm going 49ers as well. I do not have faith in Dallas. For a long time now, it's been, oh man, look at Dallas. They're making the moves, they're doing the things, and then they just flame out every single year. I have been a fan of the 49ers in the past. A lot of it came from Colin Kaepernick. I just thought the dude was a phenomenal athlete. So there's a little bit of residual fandom there. And John Lynch. I mean, my God, can't not root or can't root against the guy. He just he's so much fun. But I completely agree with Kenny here. The weapons for San Fran are heating up at the exact right time. George Kittle is the most terrifying tight end in the league. Say what you want about Travis Kelce. He dips. George Kittle doesn't. The guy just goes out and plays his best game every single game. And same with Deebo Samuel. The definition of multifaceted. Set the record for the most running touchdowns by a wide receiver. Kid can kind of do it all as well. So. Yeah, it's going to come down to Jimmy G. I 100% believe, if the injured hand is going to cause any issues. But I have faith in the 49ers putting down Dallas.
Well, with that being said, if you had to put faith in Jimmy G, then I'm out. And I think that's the biggest division point for me, and obviously even a possibility of a Jimmy G in Denver type of possibility as well. I don't have faith in him. I look at Dallas Cowboys; they're the top turnover defense out there. They're one of the top defenses week in and week out. You pair that up with Zeke, who seems to like he's coming on at the right time. You're going to Dallas and Jerryville. I just see a Dallas Cowboys win. I guess I'm just going to be different I'm going to be the odd guy out on every single pick, I guess. So just point that out. So,
well, I'm with you on this one. I went Dallas.
Oh, okay, that's right.
I said I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if San Francisco won, but I did go Dallas. So,
okay,
thank you for joining me and not leaving me hanging out there.
There you go, Dave.
This one.
Can I bring up one quick thing to disagree with Keith?
Okay.
Yeah.
They were down 17-0 to the Rams in LA last week. And they did come all the way back. I'm a true believer in momentum, and I think that's going to shift into the playoffs for San Fran.
Yeah.
So, okay. And we will see. All right, Sunday night.
Keith's not a believer.
Sunday night, Arrowhead Stadium, Pittsburgh at Kansas City. My wife earlier today, my wife's a Pittsburgh fan. Mm-hmm. She asked me earlier before we ate dinner, she's like, "You want to go to Kansas City this weekend?" I said, "What? For what?" She's like, "Well, I'm looking right here. I can buy tickets to the game for $95 each."
Oh, wow.
I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I thought, I'm like, "Oh, okay, I'll go." Yeah. I'm like, "This would be pretty cool."
Yeah.
And she's like, "No, we'd have to drive out there Sunday, stay overnight, miss work month." I'm like, "Why'd you even bring it up?"
Yeah.
So
come on now.
So
that means you got to pick the Chiefs now, Dave.
Matt started twitching when we said Getsy. You say Chiefs, and my skin starts itching and stuff. All right, Kenny. Speaking of Chiefs, Pittsburgh at Kansas City. Where are you going?
I would love to go Steelers here. I really would, because now I'm definitely, adopted me as a Bronco fan. So. On our show, I went Chiefs. I think it's going to be closer. I think the Chiefs get by this week, but we'll pick them to lose in the next week or two. But I think the Steelers are going to play a much better game, but I think the Chiefs are going to find a way to win. So I'll take the Chiefs.
I like it. It's going to pain me because I am also a Steelers fan, and the Chiefs are my least favorite team in the league. I just don't think Pittsburgh has it. I think a lot of them even getting to the playoffs just came down to luck. I mean, the fact that it came down to the last play of the NFL's regular season to even find out if they were going to be in, that's just not a lot to hang your hat on. And, I can't see them doing anything positive offensively to be able to battle a Patrick Mahomes led Kansas City team. I love Big Ben. I'm thrilled for what he's able to have done throughout his career. He doesn't have it anymore. That arm is spaghetti, and that's not going to win you playoff games. So I have to go with the Chiefs, and it pains me, and I would like to wash my mouth out with soap now.
All right, Keith, where are you going with this one?
Well, I have a question for you since you're asking the question, Dave.
Okay.
Is this gut or is this wallet that I'm giving you the answer on?
Let's go with your gut.
My gut says the Pittsburgh Steelers actually pulled this one out.
Ooh.
All right.
I just have this feeling they've just been on this run. They luckily get into the playoffs. They end up winning when they need to. Ben's goodbye up in Heinz Field. I just feel like this team is playing for a lot really late in the season. Kansas City's kind of been up and down a little bit, even though they're the 2 seed. I don't have a ton of faith in the Kansas City Chiefs like I had the last couple of years. So my gut just says the Pittsburgh Steelers win one playoff game and then they're out.
Yeah.
All right.
And I said this on the K&K thing. I'm going Pittsburgh, and I jokingly I jokingly said because of my wife, and yeah, that's part of it. But I too agree with you, Keith. Pittsburgh's playing for something. They're playing for Ben, and sometimes things like that will carry teams through things. Kansas City should have lost to Denver last week.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for a fluke fumble being returned for a touchdown, Denver probably wins that game because we'd probably go in and score and go up, by 11 points. And, then we're talking about Kansas City may not even win the division.
Yeah.
So I agree with Keith. Kansas City is up and down, up and down, up and down. Pittsburgh, if they can get Najee Harris going, start running the ball, and you got TJ Watt, NFL sack record holder now.
Yep.
He can disrupt Mahomes, and I think some other players on that defensive line can disrupt Mahomes. And we've seen what happens to Mahomes now when he gets disrupted. He's not as comfortable anymore. One of it is because he lacks some of the weapons, and plus I just think people are getting smarter on him, and they're playing him a lot smarter. And everybody saw that Tampa figured out how to beat him, and I'm going to go Pittsburgh. I think this might upset of the week.
And you know what? If the Jaguars can beat the Colts in Week 17, the Steelers can beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. You're right.
Any given Sunday.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, and nobody in the world is giving them a chance. The betting world.
There's no pressure on them, and all the pressure is on Kansas City because Kansas City was a Super Bowl favorite going into this season, and they had to struggle to beat Denver and secure that 2 seed where they could have dropped all the way down, sort of like the Patriots did. They could have dropped down to a 5 or 6 seed. So if they would have lost to Denver. All right. And somebody said something about momentum, 17 points. Was that you, Kenny?
Yeah, the 49ers came back.
And so the 49ers are rolling off this momentum. How does that affect the Rams? Blowing that 17-point lead. Now they got Arizona coming to their house, We're going to start with you, Greg. Who do you got, Arizona or the Rams?
I'm going to go Rams. They were my early season Super Bowl pick. I'm a massive Matt Stafford fan. I believe he got absolutely screwed having to spend his career in Detroit. I would have loved to have seen him on a even semi decent team. He just got absolutely left out in the rain up in Detroit. I feel bad for it. That being said, that's a very interesting point that you bring up. With momentum, that was a lot of momentum that got taken away from LA. And it was an ugly loss. That was the thing that really sucked about it was, it looked like it was just going to be a blowout, and then it became ugly on LA's side of things. And so, yeah, that could definitely affect this. The thing that I'm keeping with LA though is I never really believed in Arizona. Even when they were 7-0, I just had a feeling that they weren't completely for real. They kind of did the same thing that LA did in just buying the team, bringing in Zach Ertz, Matt Prater, as much as I miss him here in Denver, it felt like they were kind of doing the same thing of like, okay, let's just go out and buy the team for the season. They just didn't do it to the same extent that LA did, and so it's hard to think that they're going to be able to match up the same way. So yeah, gonna go with LA in this one, and I'm still pulling for them to be the Super Bowl champions. So
okay, Keith.
I got to go the opposite way, and I'm sorry, but for me, I guess
I haven't agreed yet, and I'm expecting it. From you
that's funny. That I haven't even kept track, but you look at the Rams. I'm sorry. You look at the Cardinals, and I guess I just see a more complete team. I see at the Rams. There's, like you said, here's a powerhouse team has been expected to do so much. Defensively, even with the Von Miller down the stretch, they have been non-existent in my opinion. That defense does not scare me one bit, and that should be one of the scariest parts of their team. I know Arizona's had a hard stretch going down. You know, they should have been clinching weeks ago, and finally got a win versus Dallas to kind of get off the schneid, I guess you could say, late. But I think this is going to be a really close game. I think the Rams don't get off to a good start, and they don't end up getting back from that. I see the Cardinals winning in this one.
Okay. And I'm going to go with Keith here as well. I mean, this Rams team just sort of baffles me. This may be the biggest disappointment money could buy. You know, they've pumped a lot of money into that Rams team. This team was supposed to be the number 1 seed. You know, what are they? The number 3 seed. You know, I just don't have any faith in them. I don't have faith in their receivers. They got some prima donnas, and if somebody gets in OBJ's head, you're going to eliminate him from the game, and that's going to take away Stafford's weapons. And I believe Arizona's getting J.J. Watt back as well. So, so that's going to help them on defense as well. And like he said, the Rams defense just has not lived up to that billing either, you know. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals as well to beat the Rams. And that way we don't have to worry about another hometown team winning the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay was the first to do it. We don't want it back-to-back now.
No, that'd be crazy, right?
So, all right, Kenny, close us out.
I know momentum, but both teams have. Cardinals go and beat the Cowboys, and then what do? They go up to Seattle and lay an egg, give up 37, and Russell Wilson looked like the Russell Wilson from the past 5 years. I just don't like – I'm like with Greg. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Cardinals. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Rams neither. But you still got Von Miller, who has Super Bowl experience, playoff experience. You don't have much of that on the Cardinals. And this may be too big of a picture for them. They've been struggling down the road. I think they were a little over their heads. Great year, a little over their heads this year. I think the Rams squeak one out. It's going to be like a 27-24 type of game. But I think they squeak it out. Would I be surprised if Arizona wins? No. But for the record, I'll take the Rams.
Okay. All right. So, well, we will see next week. Playoff football is among us, and I didn't even notice this, but there is a game Monday night. The Arizona-LA Rams game is Monday night.
It's the super wild card weekend, baby.
Yes. So, and Matt is also going with Rams win. So, Keith, you and I win.
All right, buddy.
Matt's always wrong.
Remember, I made these picks for Matt. Remember, wink, wink.
Oh, yeah.
Wink. So, all right. Well, Kenny, hey, thanks for jumping on with us for a little bit.
It, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for sticking around for me.
Not a problem. Everybody, check out Kenny and Kurt and all the guys over at K&K Sports. Go ahead and give us a rundown what night your shows are on, Kenny.
Well, you could check us out after you check out Dave and the guys on 4th&99. We are on Wednesday nights. Mountain time would be 6:30 to 8 o'clock. But catch us recorded after you watch the 4th&99. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. We're on all the platforms. Thursdays, we do Wits and Wagers. It's a sports wagering, betting type show. It's a lot of fun. We have some handicappers on, and we pick some games and talk about different sports. And on Tuesdays, Kurt and his wife do a high school sports show. They recognize the high school kids, and that is Tuesday nights. It would be 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock your time.
Okay.
A lot of recognition for the high school.
All right,
kids.
and Keith, I'm gonna take it that the Montana State Bobcats didn't do very well because you didn't come on here bragging about the game against North Dakota State. So how bad was it? I saw 21-0 at one point.
Yeah. So the biggest problem was our all-star rookie freshman QB gets hurt in the first series.
Oof.
Out for the game.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you're going up against North Dakota State University. They are now 9-for-9 in championships games since 2011.
Wow. Does Saban's son work there or something?
Hey, you think little tiny North Dakota school? I believe they have a dome.
Wow.
Just to kind of give you an idea of how
they're
big of a powerhouse program that is.
Program, yeah.
So we didn't have a chance. I forget the final score. I'll be honest. I kind of tuned out after a while because it got pretty bad. So, but better luck next year. Hopefully it doesn't take since 1984 since we won our last national championship to get back. So
all right, and then everybody remember check out Greg at Doudna Writes. Now, are you writing just for RMSN? Can people check out your work at other places?
No, for right now, it is all just RMSN. I get it up on the website, so you can check it out at our Rocky Mountain SN website. And then I post it everywhere. I post it to my Twitter at Doudna Writes. I post it on Facebook. Just the link so that you can come to the website. But yeah, for right now, it's all going straight through there.
Wonderful.
And yeah, everything as far as Avs and NHL related is all on our Facebook, and trying to get better at Twitter. I'll be honest, I am not great at the social media side of things, so I'm struggling to remember. Put it everywhere.
If you guys want to talk to somebody who knows hockey, this is your guy right here. I mean,
and I want to echo that. It's great.
You played hockey for how long, Greg?
I've been playing for, because I still do beer leagues, all that fun stuff. I've been playing for 23 years. I refereed for 12.
Yep. So,
it's in my blood.
This guy definitely knows his hockey stuff. So if you want to talk hockey, he's the guy to look up.
So I want to echo that, Dave. I listen. I don't know much about hockey. That's my least the big four that I know. And I listen to you and Scott on In the Crease, and you guys do an amazing job over there and making me learn a little more about hockey each time I listen to you. And I also want to thank you guys for inviting one of our interns on who knows a little bit about hockey. Daniel joined you guys the one night, and that was a lot of fun for him. He really appreciated it. So I want to definitely thank you for giving him that opportunity.
Yeah, of course. I'm glad to hear it, because we had a blast having him on. I'm actually going to get a hold of him here in a little bit, because I said on our hockey side of things here at RMSN, I want to get more of an NHL wide show going, and he would definitely be a part of that if he's interested. So
I'm sure he would. He definitely appreciated everything you guys did for him.
And just to let everybody know, RMSN is looking to expand our coverage on the football side as well. We want to try to expand to an NFL platform. So if you represent the Broncos, if you represent another team, get in contact with Matt Staffiero, and he'll get you set up, and maybe we can work something out, get some other teams on here as well, and move away from just a mostly Broncos platform. So, sorry, did I say that out loud? So, all right, but hey, guys, everybody that stayed with us, and for all the comments and questions and everything else, we appreciate it. We've gone 2 hours and 19 minutes. So I think we had a couple longer ones. We had our live events that you guys did at Stoke the Fire in Loveland, and we had the one down at Castle Rock, and then our draft coverage that night that was like 6 hours. But it's been a long one, so we got to start getting our voices ready to take this abuse for the draft coverage. So those are long nights. So
that's right.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. All three of you guys. You guys have a great evening. Everybody out there have a great evening, and we will be back next Wednesday we'll be back on our regular time at 6 p.m. I believe. So come check us out.
All
right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Willow Seasonings.
Yes, Willow Seasonings, awesome.